Thomas Paine, Thomas Paine, Thomas Paine, Sam Adams, Sam Adams, Sam Adams, Benjamin Franklin, Benjamin Franklin, Benjamin Franklin. These men spoke up for what they thought was right. From their courage came such documents as the Declaration of Independence and the Constitution of the United States. From their willingness to speak what was sometimes unpopular but right, we enjoy such liberties as freedom of speech, the right to keep and bear arms, and freedom of religion. There are those who still wish to oppress our freedoms, and there are still patriots willing to stand up and defend life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. Men like Zeb Bell, who honor our founding fathers and what they stood for. It's now time for Zeb at the ranch, speaking up and defending your freedoms. Brought to you by Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers and all of the other great advertisers on the program. And now, Zeb Bell.
Just to prove that some of the entertainers and stars, supposedly, are not the brightest bulbs in the fixture, you've got to listen to these two quotes from these two entertainers. First of all, from Mariah Carey. Whenever I watch TV and see those poor starving kids all over the world, I can't help but cry. I mean, I'd love to be skinny like that, but not with all those flies and death and stuff. And then this one takes the cake from Brooke Shields as she was interviewing to become a spokesperson for the federal anti-smoking campaign. She said, quote, "Smoking kills. If you're killed, you've lost a very important part of your life." Oh, boy. Good morning. Here comes Kate Smith and God Bless America, followed by a Patriot. Come on, call in. Good morning. Pledge of Allegiance time. And a good morning to you on a Tuesday, March 27th. We're in the waning stages of March already. Zeb at the Ranch, I'm Zeb Bell with our major sponsor, your Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers. All 7 locations serving you with a huge spring tire sale going on right now. And also some of our great advertisers like Burley Physical Therapy and Rehabilitation, 1263 Bennett Avenue, Suite 2 in Burley, helping you get back to being you. Right now, let's go to the phone line and have our Pledge of Allegiance. Good morning.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Excellent. Rodney, how's your mom doing real fast, please?
Excellent. She's coming home today.
All right. Well, listen, give her a great big hug for all of us. Thank you for doing the pledge.
Yep, I'll catch you later.
All right, buddy. Thank you very much. Mary Johnson had open heart surgery, and she's on her way home. That's really a blessing. Time for the weather, and the weather brought to you by K&R Rental. Roger and the crew get over there early in the morning while you're probably still just turning on the news. They start at 7 o'clock in the morning at 256 South, 600 West of Hayburn on the Burley-Paul Highway. All your tools for outdoor cleanup and getting ready for spring. Oh, I tell you, I think today, in just a moment, we're going to hear for sure. I think today we're going to be at a tipping point where I'm really going to go off into a spring kind of a cleaning and atmosphere. It's going to be great. Don't forget K&R Rental. They do have all the tools for you. Stop over and say hello, and believe me, they're easy to find right there on the Burley-Paul Highway, or give them a call at 678-3122, K&R Rental. Here's Scotty with the weather.
Warming up and windy with your Zeb at the Ranch weather forecast. Scotty Cameron sitting in for Gina Jameson. That's right, going to be breezy and warming up a little bit. Mostly sunny today, expecting a high of 52. Partly cloudy tonight with a low of 37. For tomorrow, still going to be seeing wind and sun. Highs around 54. Partly cloudy for Wednesday night, a low of 34. Now for Thursday, mostly sunny, a high of 55. The warming trend continues with clouds Thursday night, a low of 35. Then for Friday, Sunday, could see highs near 60 with mostly sunny skies. That's your 7th Ranch weather forecast. I'm Scotty Cameron.
Oh, boy, spring fever. K&R Rental, thank you, Roger and the crew. And they are so important to you with the best of tools and equipment right there in Heyburn on the Burley-Paul Highway, 678-3122. K&R Rental bringing you the weather this morning. I want to remind you tomorrow on the program at 10:06, and we're going to have him on for the entire hour. We have a gentleman from the Kimberly area that absolutely has been there and done that in agriculture, and he's a super, super knowledgeable person when it comes to what's going on with tariffs and agriculture in general and some of the rules and regulatory means that are being or not being imposed on agriculture through the Trump administration. Dave Roper is going to be on the program tomorrow at 10:06. Very interesting and very knowledgeable person. Don't forget Daryl's Cleaners at 1223 Albion Avenue in Burley. Oh, Kevin and Cindy, they do such a phenomenal job in serving you. And I've said this before, and I'll say it again. If you're a teacher in the Mini-Cassia area, don't forget to go in there, show them your teacher's card, and you get a 20% discount. They really care about the teachers that are helping our youngsters. And Daryl's Cleaners, the best cleaners around anywhere. 1223 Albion Avenue in Burley. You stop in and see them today. Please, Daryl's Cleaners in Burley. And a quick news note, not a news note, but a note for anybody and everybody that is in the cattle business or wants to be. The Burley Livestock Sale Yard, 1100 Occidental Avenue in Burley. Sale time Thursday at probably 10:30, the sale that works for you. Merv May, Cade Rogge, and Lance Udy. I'm telling you what, they are great people, and they're serving you for cattle consignments and sale information. Call the office at 678-9411. 678-9411. Thursday sale day at the Burley Livestock Sale Yard, 678-9411. Okie dokie. Now it's time for you to get involved and give me a call. I got to get this in here real quick. I had this note sent to me a couple of days ago, and I absolutely covered it up in my great big pile of papers, which if you've been in my office, you can understand why things get lost, okay? That's all I'm going to say. Chuck Driscoll sent me this. Starting on April 2nd, that's next Monday, the Minidoka County and Cassia County Veterans Service Office, the hours will change. The new hours will be Monday 10 a.m. to 6, Tuesday noon to 5, Wednesday noon to 5, and Thursday by appointment only. And they are helping veterans who are currently having to take off work to visit the office. They're trying to make it easier. And if you have any other questions, call Chuck Driscoll at 678-3599. And they're located at 625 Fremont Avenue in Rupert. Okay. All right, give me a jingle, 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. I want to say thank you to Ramsey Heating and Electric at 2600 Overland Avenue in Burley. You know, really, they've been serving you for almost 60 years. I mean, a bunch of time. They've been flipping calendars there for a long time. And they're located at 2600 Overland Avenue in Burley. They are the best when it comes to your heating, cooling, and electrical needs. And again, please call them if you have questions at 678-0459. Open at 7:30 in the morning till 5, Monday through Friday. The best, the nicest, Ramsey Heating and Electric in Burley. One more good word before we start with our topic of the day or anything you want to talk about in this first hour. Denny's Restaurant, America's Diner at 611 North Overland in Burley. Come on in, sit down, open the menu, and go, ooh, baby, does this look good? Does that look good? How about this, man? Everything on the menu, delicious. Please stop in at America's Diner at 611 North Overland in Burley, Denny's Restaurant, or their other location at 291 Pole Line Road in Twin Falls. They are serving you with the best of good eating at Denny's Restaurant, America's Diner. This really bothers me a lot, and I have a complete story of what's going on at Hofstra University. Another demand. And it is from groups like this. Before I tell you what the demand is, the Democrats of Hofstra University, and this is the name of the group, Queer and Trans People of Color Coalition, the Gender Identity Federation, and the Young Democratic Socialists of Hofstra. Hofstra University. What are they demanding? They are demanding, we alluded to this yesterday, they are demanding to the school that they take down immediately the bronze of Thomas Jefferson because they say it is racist. Yeah. All of a sudden, in the year 2018, now all these statues have to come down, and they are demanding that the administrators remove Thomas Jefferson from the bronze and his off campus. Okay. Aren't we sick and tired of this? We are literally losing our history. I don't care if it's Thomas Jefferson. I don't care if it's George Washington. I don't care if it's Benjamin Franklin. I don't care who it is. Abraham Lincoln. Little by little, these offshoot, absolutely insane groups are making demands that we take and purge and throw away our nation's history. Well, they come out and they said, whoa, no, this having Thomas Jefferson's bronze up there, it signifies and symbolizes white supremacy. Mull that over for a moment. White supremacy. And they're saying it has to come down. They're saying that, well, Jefferson was a slave owner. Well, wait a minute. I'm just going to stop right there. For all you kooks and crackpots out there that are saying and condemning our people of the past, be it the father of our country, George Washington, or Jefferson, like I said, whomever, that was an accepted practice at that time over 200 years ago. To condemn what happened then with the back 2020 hindsight that you have today is absolutely ludicrous. Yes, he was a plantation owner. Yes, they had slaves in that period of time. But to go back and take a big shovel and dig up the past and say they were wrong, they were racist, is absolutely insane. What are your thoughts about this? Because it's growing in, I hate to use this word connected to them, but it's growing in popularity that they make the demands, they being these offshoot crazy groups, and then the administration weakens and down it goes. Please, I want you to comment. Enough is enough. They're going to school to get an education, and evidently that's not happening. And they're not studying, well, how this country was formed, how these great people were super leaders and had the foresight of looking to the future as to how great this country can be. And they're going to school to learn, but evidently that's not the case. That's not the mission. What are your thoughts? Give me a call quickly at 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. Problem is, it's not going away. It's meaning they, the groups, they're getting bigger and they're getting stronger and they're going to be more demanding. What are your thoughts? Come on, quickly, give me a call. While I'm waiting for your call, I want to remind everybody about a Pomerel place. I really urge you to remember next week on the 4th of April from 11 a.m. to 1 p.m., they're going to have a Nacho Normal senior community fiesta time. They're saying come by and enjoy the nachos and all the flavors of Mexico right there at a Pomerel place. Sounds like a lot of fun, and get to know the people, get to know the location. Pomerel Place, a place for senior living at 1301 Bennett Street in Burley. And the number to call for more information, and I urge you to do that, 677-8212. That number again, 677-8212, Pomerel Place in Burley. Oh, come on, give me a call. Don't make me lonesome this morning on a beautiful morning. Well, it's a little cloudy all of a sudden, but it's not going to be a bad day. Well, I'm waiting for your call. Again, Dino's. Hello, Dino's Septic Service over in Rupert. You know, I don't really know how anybody could not want to have them do the job for you. I mean, really? Septic tanks pumped? Do you want to do it? I don't think so. Do you want to have be in charge of liquid waste removal or sewer and sink drain lines clean? No, I don't think so. We'll call the pros that really can do the job for you. And that's Dino's Septic Service in Rupert and Burley. Listen to this. They've got the numbers 436-6526 in Rupert, or in Burley 678-1638. They are the best, and they will help you with that big truck that says smells cargo on the way. Dino's Septic Service. All right, caller, good morning, and thank you for breaking the ice.
Well, good morning to you too, Zeb.
My friend, go ahead.
Back in the old days of the coal miners, remember, like in Virginia and that sort of thing?
Mm-hmm.
There was a song about that by Tennessee Ernie Ford, and we all remember that, right?
16 tons.
16 tons. Okay, was that any different than really being a slave owner, the people who owned that mine? They owed their soul to the company store. In other words, they could never leave there or anything because they never had enough money.
Yeah.
Is that any different than the slavery?
I can't abide by the word slavery or slave, but I'm looking at it, and I know you are too, under today's standards. We are looking at somebody being a slave and basically under the thumb 24/7, 365 of a slave owner. You can't do this, you can't do that. You will stay here on the plantation and work. Okay. That was an accepted practice over 225 years ago here in this country. And how is it fair for us today to judge what was right or wrong all that time ago when, in essence, if the world lasts this long and another 225 years, look at how our society may be judged by future generations. You can't look in hindsight and criticize people.
That's absolutely right. And that example I brought up about the coal miners, they could leave, but what could they leave to?
Yeah.
And the slaves didn't have that choice, and that is the only difference. They were really tied to that job.
Well, what these kids and these crazy groups don't realize is when they start criticizing Thomas Jefferson, when they start tearing apart George Washington and others for what they may have done in the old days, they fail to remember that our Constitution and the constitutional amendments and everything else, those people, Jefferson and Washington, really gave the rights and also the freedom of speech to these kooks and crackpots today, and they're not at all thankful for it.
Yeah, and there's one other thing. These people who brought these slaves to the United States, what about them? Were they heroes, or what were they?
Yeah, there's always such a criticism and a condemnation of today, a lot of the offshoot minority groups that I already mentioned, like Black Lives Matter, etc., trying to pull the racist pin on the hand grenade and condemn you and me as Caucasians, or as they call us, whiteys. It's okay for them to call us whiteys and any other kind of name, but we're not supposed to use the honest and integrity name of them being Negroes. We're not supposed to say that anymore.
Yeah, and that is actually what they are. If you look in the dictionary, the word explains it, right?
Absolutely. You know, I get really upset because there seems to be a lack of education. The Mongoloids, the Caucasoids, and the Negroids are the three classifications of color, if you will, of the races on Earth. Those three are the definitive points. And I get really upset when all of a sudden I'm not supposed to say the word Negro. You would be amazed at the amount of people that will call and chastise when I've said the word Negro. But on national television and in all the big magazines, your news magazines, whatever, there is always an advertisement asking for you and me and others to send money to the United Negro College Fund.
Yeah, and what about all of these black entertainers that make fun of the Negroes?
Right, it's despicable.
We have a shortened version of that, of course.
Well, and I will not allow anybody on this program to ever use that terminology, but you're right. They will make a condemnation against their own people with very, very gutter language, and it's okay, but now no one else can ever say that, or boy, the racist gods are going to come down on you like a cat to a plate of milk.
Well, Zeb, I've got to leave you because I'm going to see my accountant.
All right, well, see him for me, too, and shift some of that money over to my bank. Thank you very much. Appreciate it, Keith. God bless you, man. Thanks. All right, caller, I'll be right there. Stand by. Don't go away. I want to remind everybody about Burley Physical Therapy and Rehabilitation at 1263 Bennett Avenue, Suite 2 in Burley. And I'll give you the number right up front, 678-1191. You call that number and make an appointment, and the excellent physical therapists there, and they know all the exercises. They know how to get you back to being you. Oh, I know that for a fact. I've been there many, 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 many times. Burley Physical Therapy and Rehabilitation. In Burley, that number again, 678-1191. You call them today. You'll be so thankful that you did. Caller, good morning. You're on the air.
Good morning, Mr. Bell.
Yes.
You know, I'm sick of being a slave to their flipping demands.
I agree.
I don't know why we don't just stand up and say, no, you know what, this is the way it is, this is the way it was. Why should we have to pay for whatever they did? That was back some years ago. They're racist because they're trying to make us give in to their demands. And we need to stand up and say, you know what, BS.
Well, let me ask you this. Let me ask you something. You have, I'm not meaning you personally, but anybody has a difference of opinion on a lot of subjects. You might like a certain piece of artwork, and I might find it in my eye to be relatively stupid. But you have the right to your opinion, but I'm not going to ask you if I don't like that artwork to take it down. You have a right to look at it. And I think the same is said for Thomas Jefferson and others. Why in the world are we allowing these kooks and crackpots to take down the statues and the remembrances of people that fought and died and gave their all for America to flourish?
Well, I totally agree. You know, it's about time we, get rid of these little crybabies who, couldn't start a lawnmower if their life depended on it. I'm just sick of it. I don't know what to do about it other than call you and complain about it. But you know what? We do all have the right to believe what we want to believe and look at what we want to look at. I'm not enforcing my views on anybody else. Everybody has the right to their own opinion.
Yeah, but
don't push it off on everybody else.
Okay, but wait a minute. You had a circumstance like this, similar to this, happen over in Rupert when all of a sudden the powers that be said, oh, no, we can't have anything that shows Christ or the manger scene or whatever. Isn't that the same kind of a premise?
Yes, it is, and that was disgusting to me. I wish they could find out who it is. I'd like to be in the room with them for just a couple of minutes.
Yeah, one person or two people complain, and then the real meaning of Christmas is supposed to be stricken, and I won't stand for it.
No, I won't either. And, we had the same problem. One person complained about our flag flying half-staff over our memorial.
See?
We had to jump through hoops.
Yep. One person.
We showed them. We showed them, hey, you're not going to tell me what to do.
Amen. And I'm so glad we had this talk because you bring up another good subject, too. I've got another call waiting, but thank you, Donna. God bless you. Thanks.
You're welcome.
All right. Thank you.
Have a good day, my friend.
Caller, I will be right there. Don't you dare go away. I want to remind everybody about Airvana is defined as the ultimate level of comfort you'll achieve with the presence of a new Lennox home comfort system. When you get a new Lennox system at Ramsey Heating and Electric, you can get up to $1,700 in rebates. Airvana is just another way to make you feel better at home. So call Ramsey Heating and Electric at 678-0459. Or visit them on the website, ramseysonline.com. Caller, thank you for your call. Appreciate it. Go ahead.
You know, these folks don't, as we said before, they don't realize that if it hadn't been for these guys, they wouldn't have a country to criticize. It wouldn't maybe be one that they could criticize in, if that makes any sense. You know, and they think they're so moral, and they think they're so right, and they think they're so wonderful, but they're a bunch of educated fools.
Well, you know, Linda, it's such a ridiculous society today, and they are the ones, listen carefully to what I'm about to say and then tell me if I'm wrong. These other groups like Black Lives Matter and these transgenders, etc., they are so quick to say that we will not adopt or assimilate or respect their lifestyle, but evidently they can adopt and assimilate to our lifestyle. So we've got a meeting to disagree on everything in the future, but they want us to stop our disagreement and accept them. I can't do that. It's the same with this statue. It's the same with the statue situation. Why in the world, for all these years that this great country has been in effect, now we have to start purging the respect for the people that gave their all to make America great?
So that their ideals will be acceptable
there you go.
to future generations
there
who
you
do
go.
not know our history.
There you go. I will not bend. I mean, if there's a statue of Robert E. Lee, I respect it, that he was a notable source for the Confederacy and also for the South. I don't think that anyone has the right to tear down his statue. After the Civil War, a lot of people don't realize because they don't study history, that man, Robert E. Lee, was commissioned to work for the Union, to reestablish the Union, and put America back on a singular path, but they condemn him, they hate him because of what he stood for during the Civil War.
Right, and I think that I think they've already done some statue removal, haven't they?
Yeah, they want the Washington Monument taken down in Washington, D.C. I mean, come on, Linda. Where do you draw the line? Yeah.
You know, what gives them the right to take it away from the rest of us?
Well,
because they're so narrow-minded.
I kind of go along with this one philosophy that's so simplified. Majority rules. If it's my football, my rules.
Yeah.
Okay, Linda, thank you so much.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. Caller, good morning. You're on the air.
Good morning, Zeb.
Yes, sir.
It's baked chicken at the Senior Junction today and all the trimmings. Also, we invited everybody to come on out and enjoy lunch with us. We need somebody for a part-time cook so that Kay can do some of our other chores.
Okay.
And anybody that wants to volunteer and come out and help put up the Meals on Wheels, why, if you can volunteer a day or two or whatever, they sure could use your help in the kitchen.
Well, and what do they do? Just call the Senior Junction and make plans for an application?
All right.
Oh, Joe, I appreciate it. We'll tell everybody, and thank you very much for calling in.
Have a good day.
All right,
Bye.
sir. Thank you. So they're looking for another part-time cook at the Senior Junction. If you'd like to cook, and you're a good cook, I guess that's the prerequisite, get a hold of those folks over at the Senior Junction. All right, calls are welcome, 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. What about statues of, let's just say Theodore Teddy Roosevelt? What about statues, any statue that a city has put up to honor someone of a certain era? I'll give you another example. What about down in Fort Worth, Texas? There are statues of American cowboys pushing cattle up the Chisholm Trails, etc. What somebody's going to say, well, no, are some of the animal rights people going to say, well, we really are offended by that, we don't want to see that anymore, or the American cowboy and the battles with the Indians and everything, we think that's kind of repulsive, so take it down. I know I'm using some extreme examples, but one or two people get together and say, no, that's offensive to me, I want that down. That's what's happening across our country. And so far, Hofstra University has basically told these people to go off in the corner and just shut up. But I'm wondering, and I'm worrying, if maybe they're not going to try to inflate their numbers and their college leadership will bend and weaken and take it down. Caller, good morning. You're on the air.
It's Earl. These people are just forgetting who changed their diapers. This was a newborn country, and let's not forget who is changing their diapers.
You know, Earl, that is so well stated, and I'll tell you why I think it's so well stated. You know, here we were, a group of people that came across from England, and boy, they wanted to get away from old King George, and they wanted to do things on our own right here in this new country, and mistakes are going to be made. There's going to be a lot of oops. There's going to be a lot of do-overs, but you know what? You really got to hand it to these people back 200 plus years ago. Earl, they did one heck of a job.
Yeah, we started out with nothing, and those that moved west, it just got rougher down the trail, and we stayed on the trail.
Yeah, that is an excellent way to put it. And now today we're supposed to forget the many trails that we've been on to make this country a beacon of hope to the world, and we're supposed to listen to these crackpot kids that can't even wipe their nose or whatever, and I am not in all shape or form ever going to pay attention to these people.
Well, you know, they shouldn't be forgetting who their mother was.
Amen. Earl, good to hear from you. That was a good point this morning. Thank you.
Adios.
All right, buddy. Caller, good morning. You're on the air.
When is Deal going to come back into this stupid country that says the majority rules?
That's kind of what I said a few minutes ago, Bob, and it's really the truth. I mean, when we're talking about a plurality of people across the country that really enjoy and love the fruits of the labors of people that have come before us, and we sit back and we have a celebration on the 4th of July or Memorial Day weekend or Labor Day weekend, I'm not going to see it diminished by a bunch of crackpots that are making demands that absolutely I will never abide by.
If we're going to take down all the monuments, let's take all of them down, the black ones and the white ones and everything.
Oh, can you imagine the outrage if all of a sudden we decided that we were going to take down the examples of Martin Luther King and others? My goodness, the roof would fall in.
Or something.
Yeah, really.
Have a good day, Zebediah.
Okay, Bob, thank you very much. No, seriously, there are probably statues, especially in California, I know there are, of people that I'm not in favor of having anything given to as far as remembrance or fond memories. And but I'm not about to sit there and say, well, take it down, it offends me. Holy smokes. If we paid attention to every one and every opinion of somebody that says, well, that offends me, what kind of a glass bubble, what kind of a purity would we have to live in so that no one would be offended? Caller, good morning. You're on the air.
Good morning, Zeb.
Yes, sir.
Or should I say, the Gates has it.
The what?
You don't speak German, huh?
You know what? I was raised in a German home, and I'll bet you the only thing I can say is Sprechen Sie Deutsch, and that's it.
You know, we're talking about these statues. Does anybody remember here a few years ago that up in Moscow, they were going to put, actually in Spokane, they were going to put up a statue of Pappy Boynton, Greg Boynton?
Yes.
And all of the socialist, communist professors up there at Moscow, at the university, got together and told all their students that these people are just going to put up another statue to another rich white man. We've got to protest this. We've got to stop this. You know, first of all, and the students did. They went out and rioted and protested and everything. They didn't even know what they were doing. First of all, Pappy Boynton was a Medal of Honor winner.
Yes, he was.
He was a war hero.
Yes.
He was a prisoner of the Japanese.
Yes.
Number two, he was never a rich man. You know, he made a little bit of money off of that Baba Black Sheep as a consultant to that movie, or to that series. And last but not least, Pappy Boynton wasn't a white man. He was Nez Perce Indian. And these students didn't even know what they were talking
Absolutely.
about. And the city caved and didn't put the statue up. You know, these communist socialists that have infiltrated, they started out in the universities. Now they're down to grade school level, even kindergarten. Indoctrinating our children into socialism. You know, most people don't know it, but when they wrote the Declaration, when our founding fathers wrote the Declaration of Independence, in there they had life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. But originally, it was life, liberty, and property. And the reason that they changed that to pursuit of happiness is because they realized that slave owners would be able to use that, because slaves were considered property, to be able to keep slavery. The founding fathers were very, very concerned about slavery. You know, when George Washington gave all of the people that were slaves for him their papers, freeing them, almost all of them stayed and worked for him because they were so well treated. The lies and everything that these communists and socialists perpetrate against us, we the people of this country. You know, I think about sometimes that my Bible, I don't know about anybody else's, but my Bible says that Satan is the father of all lies. So who do these people really represent?
Well, and that's the whole key. Let me jump in here. When you look at the different organizations, and I use the term organizations very lightly, I talked about them earlier, the Democrats of Hofstra University, the Queer and Trans People of Color Coalition, the Gender Identity Federation, and listen to this one, the Young Democratic Socialists at Hofstra University. And not only do I look down my nose at these people, but I look at them with disdain because they really don't have an appreciation for how great a country they live in and what has been given to them.
No, they don't, do they?
I appreciate your call, as always. I've got to get a weather forecast on here and then another caller, but thank you for calling in on this. It was very well stated. Thank you.
Thanks, Zeb.
You bet. Thank you. Caller number 2, I know you're there. Please bear with me. I've got to get a weather forecast on really fast. Old Wheels is over there perched on the button, and we're going to tell everybody about Mount Harrison Audiology and Hearing Aids, the very, very best serving you and your hearing health. Dr. Pickup, Dr. Mitchell, they know. They know all about it, and they can help you. I urge you to call and make an appointment at 312-0957. They're right behind the Minidoka Hospital, across from the emergency room, and that, of course, is Mount Harrison Audiology and Hearing Aids. Right now, here's Scotty with the weather.
Warming up and windy with your Zeb at the Ranch weather forecast. Scotty Cameron sitting in for Gina Jameson. That's right. Going to be breezy and warming up a little bit. Mostly sunny today. Expecting a high of 52. Partly cloudy tonight with a low of 37. For tomorrow, still going to be seeing wind and sun. Highs around 54. Partly cloudy for Wednesday night. A low of 34. Now for Thursday, mostly sunny. A high of 55. The warming trend continues with clouds Thursday night. A low of 35. Then for Friday, could see highs near 60 with mostly sunny skies. That's your Zeb at the Ranch weather forecast. I'm Scotty Cameron.
Thank you, Scotty. Great job on the weather, and boy, does that sound good for the rest of the weekend, I'm telling you. Hey, don't forget our friends, and they're your friends at Mount Harrison Audiology. They really pride themselves on caring for each individual with customized and personal treatment. At Mount Harrison Audiology and Hearing Aids, call for an appointment at 312-0957. Caller number 2, you're on the air. Go ahead, please.
Well, good morning. How are you today?
Well, hello there, bride-to-be.
Bride-to-be, yes, sir, tomorrow.
Yep.
So I have 2 points on this deal on slavery. How far do they want to go back? Because the majority of the slave traders were black.
Yeah, absolutely.
It was their own people selling their own people.
Yep.
So how far do they think they're going to go back? And when do they get to stop at history at making changes?
Yeah, but you see,
the other thing is, if we're going to change history, I want to go back with today's standard of what I made when I was 14 and first started working at a paying job. Back then we could do that. Now you can't till you're 18.
Mm-hmm.
But anyway, I want to go back to what I was getting paid back then, and I want today's wages.
Okay. All right. You want retroactive? Basically, what you're saying, like my saying at the end of the program, the way things were, the way things ought to be.
Well, it makes as much sense.
Yeah. But, I want to pick apart what you said, caller, in regards to the black slave traders. It seems like all of a sudden when these kids are confronted with what really happened, their lack of education kicks in and they don't understand what happened. So all they want to do is riot, throw things, break windows, and make demands. And this is the part of the problem. They don't really study what happened back 200 plus years ago. They don't know about all the blood, sweat, and tears that went into really forming and making and regulating this great country, this new country, the United States of America. And so therefore I scoff at them and I laugh at them because they're basically stupid when it comes to really knowing what was built upon a foundation to give them their rights today.
Exactly. So in 200 years, 100 years, is somebody going to come back after their families and say, you rioted, you tore up my town, you tore up my parents' store, I want retribution for that now. I want to be remunerated for that now.
Absolutely. This is something you're bringing up that many, many groups have talked about, reparations paid to various slave families or people that were from that era. You know as well as I do, Sharon, that is absolutely one of the most fraudulent, stupid statements I've ever heard in my life. Mm-hmm. Why in the world should generation today, you and I, be subjected to paying for something that we had nothing to do with, our grandparents didn't have anything to do with it, and it goes back literally hundreds of years as nothing more than an appeasement for them to keep their mouths shut.
And I wonder how many of them can actually prove that they were descendants from slave owners?
Yeah, really. Yeah.
From slaves?
I would like to see that, too. I want to see the court records. I want to make sure that there's proof and there's sanity in every check that might be written.
Yeah, and as far as that goes, I want to go back to Mexico. I want them to pay our family because Pancho Villa ran us out of Mexico.
Okay,
so where do we go to?
Can we take?
Going to stop with all of that?
I agree with you. On a lighter note, I just want to say on behalf of my wife and myself, congratulations to you. Kind of an early congratulations, and I just wish you the best. I can tell you're smiling like a little cherubic princess.
I have been giddy like a teenager. It has just been hilarious to me, and I'm thinking, I wonder what other people think.
You mean you walk down the street smiling and everybody going, what did she do?
Yeah, exactly.
Okay.
Exactly.
You want to give us a little bit of what's going to happen?
Well, yeah, because I've been on the radio for you, and we've got a lot of listeners. A lot of people ask how we're doing. They ask how you're doing when I see them. I'm getting married tomorrow. I am so excited. I've met me a handsome cowboy out of Blackfoot, and he's going to be moving up to Albion, so we can stay in Albion. And we're having an open house for everyone just to come to. We're not sending out invitations. Y'all just come, meet and greet on Friday night, this coming Friday night, from 7 to 8:30.
Oh, I tell you, Sharon,
Albion Church. Just come meet and greet.
I have never heard you be this bubbly. You're like a bottle of champagne that's been turned loose.
That's what I've heard other people say, too.
Have a great day, and God bless you, Sharon. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
All right. She deserves all the happiness in the world. Really a nice lady right there. And she's getting married tomorrow. There you go. Hey, calls are welcome. 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. I want to remind you about Berry Equipment and Rental. Sales, service, and parts. Caller, I'll be right there. Stand by. And they've got 3 locations, 159 West Highway 30 in Burley with Juan and his crew. Hello, Juan and his crew. And then at 465 Addison Avenue West in Twin Falls, Eli, and up in Nampa. I'm telling you, they've got everything you need there, and including, and oh boy, it's that time of the year, the Walker Lawn Mowers. Yep, you better get in there and check it out today. The Walker Lawn Mowers right there at Berry Equipment and Rental. Along with all the Bobcats and everything, equipment rentals, retail equipment sales, Berry Equipment and Rental. Burley with Juan, Twin Falls with Eli, and up in Nampa. Berry Equipment and Rental. Caller, good morning. You're on the air.
Good morning, Zeb.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, let's not forget there were white slaves, too.
Absolutely.
There were, and not just indentured servants. I mean, there were actually white people that were bought and sold into slavery, and they actually had it worse than the black people.
Well, let me ask you, though, we know that was a fact of history, but, you know, that was another time. It was another era. It was, and I hate to use this terminology, but it's true, it was an accepted practice of the time. So what right do we have today, my friend, to sit back and regulate and criticize and demonize what they did then?
Exactly, and you don't hear the ancestors of the whites that were slaves demanding reparations or anything like that.
Yeah.
Why should we do that for the others?
But,
I mean, it doesn't make sense. I mean, besides, it happened well over 100 years ago, 200 years ago maybe.
Yes.
And none of the people today are guilty of it.
When you say guilty, though, I want to draw a line in the sand and say that something that was an accepted practice at a certain era of history, what gives us the right today to criticize it and demonize them because at one time it was accepted, now it is not. Let's just go with the flow, and you can't criticize the past because you can't change it.
That's right. You just got to accept the past and move on. And
there you go.
People need to do. They need to move on.
There you go. And thank you, and again, best to your mom. Thank you so much.
All right, I'll catch you later.
All right, buddy. Thank you. It's so ridiculous for me to sit here and listen to these kooks and crackpots and crazies in the demands to take down the bronze of Thomas Jefferson, calling him a racist and a hate monger and everything else. Did they know the man? Did they know anything about his personality? Did they know anything about what he had done for this great country to formulate this country and turn it into what this great country is today that now they, the left, are trying to tear apart and demonize? The problem is a lack of education. People that know and study and see and hear and understand the writings of what took place in the past, it's called history. These punks are not studying history. They're just demonizing it for their own so-called political gain. Okay, let's not forget our friends at your Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers. All 7 locations are serving you with a great big spring tire sale. And boy, if you got spring fever like I do, you want to get out and get away. Well, roll into spring with the best of tires for your car, your pickup, your SUVs. They've got them. Absolutely. For your cars, like the on-sale Eclipse tire. All-season traction, advanced tread design starting at just $61.97. Or how about this one? For your pickups and SUVs, the Backcountry all-terrain traction, wear-resistant tread compound starting at just $169.99. All of these tires for your safe driving at your Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers, along with the best in brake service with highly trained brake technicians, front-end alignment, shocks and struts, batteries, but above all, service. They really take care of you. They honestly appreciate your business. Lane and Rupert, Dave on Blue Lakes and Twin, Mike and Buell, Mike and Jerome, the Twist family in Paul, Daniel on Poline in Twin Falls, and Randy on Overland in Burley, your Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers. We're going to take a little break. Now, coming up next hour, I hope this works. We have a man by the name of Gianluca Mech calling from Italy, and he is a trade expert, and he's going to be talking to us about the tariffs and everything else. So stay tuned. Zeb at the Ranch, I'll be back in 7. Thank you. Good morning and welcome back. Zeb at the Ranch on a Tuesday, the 27th day of March. And, of course, brought to you by our major sponsor, your Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers, all 7 locations serving you with a big spring tire sale, and also some of our great advertisers, including Burley Physical Therapy and Rehabilitation at 1263 Bennett Avenue, Suite 2 in Burley, helping you get back to being you. Another great advertiser that we want to highlight right now, Western Waste Services.
From the canyons of the Snake River and all across southern Idaho, we're always at your disposal. Western Waste Services, we care about our community, our resources, and this great land. Western Waste Services is lending a hand, always at your disposal.
Western Waste Services, always at your disposal. I urge you to call 734-6969. Get on their route service, and they will come pick your garbage up weekly. It's gone. It's out of there. Call them today. Western Waste Services, 734-6969. Always at your disposal. Quickly, before we go to the phone line, I want to remind everybody about our friends at Lennox with the Airvana system from Lennox through Ramsey Heating and Electric. And when you buy a new Lennox home comfort system at Ramsey's, you can get up to a $1,700 rebate. Don't you put it off. Airvana is just another way to make you feel better. So call Ramsey Heating and Electric today at 678-0459 or go to their website, ramseysonline.com. And also, quickly, our friends at Hanson Mortuary. Hello, Joel Heward, his family, and his staff serving you and your family at 710 6th Street in Rupert. There is nothing more devastating than the passing of a loved one and then the rest of the family not knowing what to do in such a short time frame. Please know that you can call them at 436-5636. That number again, Hanson Mortuary at 436-5636 in Rupert. And Joel Heward also serving you and your family at Morrison Payne Funeral Home on East Main in Burley. Let me check with Wheels real fast. Wheels, did our caller make it on the phone line?
He hasn't. I just was going to send you the text. I called the gentleman that is representing him here in the U.S., and he said that he was going to try to reach Mr. Lucas, but that's all I know so far.
Okay, well, if you hear of anything, and then you did alert the gentleman that is his booking agent, basically to keep trying, and he's going to let us know, right?
I did, and
okay.
He he knew that, they're a couple hours ahead of us, so
Yeah.
he knows that he's up now, and he said that he was.
I think it's about a 6 hour. I'm almost positive it's about 6 hours ahead over there in Italy. It's either 6 or 7, but I believe it's 6. And so basically, he should be up and about, but we'll certainly hope that he calls in. Interrupt me if he calls in, no matter what I'm doing, if you would.
Definitely.
All right, buddy. Thank you. In that case, I'm going to ask you, the public, to give us a call at 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. And I'd like to get into a little bit about Orange County, California. And they basically are saying, we're not going to go along with the governor. We're not going to go along with this absolutely breaking of the law. And we're going to work with ICE. We're going to do things the right way. And we are not going to be supporters of sanctuary cities or their policies. What are your thoughts on this? We need more people to step up to the plate and say no. And that's what they're doing at a lot of towns around Orange County, California, and we salute them for this. Give us a call, 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. While I'm waiting for your phone call, let's see, what have I got to do next? I want to remind you a little bit about our friends at Ark Animal Hospital. Got to get them in here because, man, I'll tell you what, they are so important. I don't care if you've got just little dogs and kitty cats, or if you got a whole bunch of cows or horses, whatever. Ark Animal Hospital is a mixed animal practice, meaning big or small. They love them all, and they can take care of them all. Give them a call at 678-1177 for an appointment. Ark Animal Hospital, located at 750 21st Street near Connection Credit Union in Heyburn. Absolutely the best. They've been voted the best in the Mini-Cash area for multiple years, Dr. Bill and the crew. 678-1177. 678-1177, Ark Animal Hospital. All right, come on, give me a jingle, 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. This past Monday night, last night, or the night before, no, today's Tuesday, it was last night, the City Council, Government of Los Alamitos, California, had the first reading of a potential ordinance proposing to exempt the City of Los Alamitos from the California Values Act, also known as SB 54. That law was approved by Jerry Brown, the governor, in October, restricts how local law enforcement can work with federal immigration authorities. Well, Los Alamitos Mayor Troy Edgar said that they're going to be the leader of the pack. They are going to fight back, and they're going to do what is right. And I've got a question I'd like somebody to answer for me. Why would the Republicans vote for an omnibus bill the other day that if they, the Republicans, and President Trump are saying we've got to see the end of sanctuary cities, we have to see the end of sanctuary policies, we have to see the end of sheltering and basically hiding felonious aliens that shouldn't be here in the first place, why would the Republicans vote to refund sanctuary cities? And they did. They did. How can they do this and have a clear conscience with criticism of sanctuary cities, like San Francisco and others, when they're going to hand over the money to them again through federal giveaway programs, the refunding of those same sanctuary cities? The Republican Party, and I don't care who's offended by this, they are long overdue to stand up out of the chair, stretch a little bit, and show that they've got a spine that they can stand up. It is absolutely ridiculous and repugnant to me that they have many of these people, I don't care if it's Paul Ryan, Mitch McConnell, whomever, a bunch of cowards. They don't want to make any waves. They don't want to make any enemies with the Democrats. They don't want to stand up and say we're the party in charge. They don't want to do anything except sit back in their leather chairs and still take all the credit, if you will, for being the party in charge that isn't doing one dadgum thing. It is repulsive to me to fund Planned Parenthood and sanctuary cities, and you and I pick up the bill. We talked about this the other day, and I'm still extremely upset about it. Why should you and I, as taxpayers, give money to cities to break the law and go against the Constitution of the United States of America? We shouldn't give one damn dime to these people until they start honoring what is the law, what is legal, and what the Constitution says. Give me a call, 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. Please, I want to hear what your opinion on this is. Once again, while I'm waiting for your call, we had a gentleman that is an international trade expert by the name of Gianluca Mech that was going to be calling in from Italy. I don't know if he misconstrued the time variance or whatever, but we are having trouble getting through. And Wheels has been trying to go through his liaison here in the United States to find out where he is. And as soon as we find him, we'll try to get him on the program. While we're waiting, give me a call, please, 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. Want to remind you about Let's Ride at 270 Highway 24 between Rupert and the World. Oh, they're open Monday through Friday, 9 to 6, Saturdays, 9 to 4. And you know the thing about Let's Ride, you go in that showroom, whether you enter the side entrance or the front entrance, and just stop and look around, and you wonder, the first thing that's going to come into your mind, how'd they get all this stuff in here? Holy moly, they've got all the four-wheelers, and they got all the side-by-sides, and they've got all the accessories. You're going to be shocked, and you're going to be happy to have such a great selection to choose from. So get over there today. Let's ride. 270 Highway 24 between Rupert and the World. This really is where the fun is sold. You stop over and see them today. All right, Wheels, anything from our guest or his manager? Do you have anything?
No, I haven't heard anything yet, but my eyes are my eye muscles, I think, are getting a little bit bigger from watching the phone line.
Well, you just watched that like a vulture, young man. Thank you very much. Appreciate it. Calls welcome, 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. This gives me just a little bit of time this morning I've got a major gripe, and I just don't understand why people have to be this way. When you park in a parking lot, or you park at church, or anywhere where there is public parking and people are parked around your vehicle, is it really that hard to open your car doors carefully so you do not ding another person's vehicle? I mean, the lack of respect. I sat in the parking lot of a grocery store the other day. I love doing this, waiting for Deanne, and watching people, studying people. And it was amazing to me that I saw 4 different instances of people that would pull into parking spots, and they wouldn't even give any caution at all to the vehicle that's next to them, and they would throw their car doors open, and you know it dings it up. You know it puts a dent in the door or the quarter panel. You know that it's going to chip the paint, and people don't seem to have any respect. And I got to tell you, of the 4 instances that I sat there and witnessed, all 4 were women. And all 4 were probably, 30 years of age or less. And they just blatantly zipped into that parking spot as if they were in the middle of a Le Mans racetrack, threw the doors open, and I did not get out to go check the damage, but I'll guarantee you on each one of those vehicles that I saw hit with doors, there had to be some damage. And that is the most frustrating to me. I just have got a new outfit, and I park, I probably have to walk 6 miles to get where I'm going, because I'm not going to park in the mainstream where some nincompoop is going to do what they did to my older truck before I traded it in. And I had this woman that absolutely opened the door. She had parked so close to me, and her door wouldn't open so it would catch on one of the hinges So she kicked the door, and it left, and I'm not exaggerating on this, it's a true story, over $1,500 damage to my truck. And when confronted, she basically got all with her nose in the air, got mad, lied to me, didn't have any insurance coverage, and went off in a huff. What's the matter with people today? No respect. Caller, good morning. You're on the air.
Good morning again already.
Yes, sir. Again, however.
Already.
Yes.
You know, when I go to a Walmart or something like that, I don't try to get to the closest location. I'd rather park back there, and then I don't need to worry. And my newest vehicle is an '08, so, but I'm very particular about it, and I wish other people would do the same.
You know, though, Keith, honestly, you've been in the car business all your life, and you know what I'm saying is true. I would bet, and I would hazard a guess, that if any vehicle is dinged up whatsoever, it's going to be within the door or the side panels because of people's stupidity and lack of respect the way they open their doors.
That's right. And in today's modern way of painting and that sort of thing, it could cost you $1,000 for one ding in the door.
Well, you know, in my case,
totally ridiculous.
In my case, it cost over $1,500, and this woman lied. She didn't have any insurance coverage, nothing else. I mean, she gave a phony name, and I just don't understand how people can be that brazenly rude and basically acting like animals that they'll just throw their doors open and hurt somebody else's vehicle and think that that's okay. I wish there was some way that we could impose a penalty on them that would really create a hardship to the point where they'd wake up and smell the coffee. Are you gone? Okay. I guess Keith is gone.
I had another call coming in, but I can catch that later. You had asked me one time to check on this licensing and registration in Nevada.
Yeah, quickly.
And I do have some information, but maybe this is not the time.
You know, we don't have enough time to get into it right now. I've got minutes left in the segment. I got time for a couple of more phone calls, but let's go over it, and I'll talk about it on a future program. I do appreciate it, though. Thank you, Keith. God bless you, man. Thanks.
Okay.
All right.
So you don't want to discuss it right now.
Not right now, but I do want to talk about it in the future on the high costs and the taxes and everything else, and literally the waste of money. Thank you very much, and calls are welcome at 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. A good friend of mine here about 3-4 months ago brought a brand new pickup. I mean, it was a shining delight. And the very first day, he took his wife down to go shopping at the mall, pulled into a parking area. He said when he pulled in, there was not a car on either side of him. And they went in, and when he came out, there were dings on both sides of his pickup. That is absolutely unnecessary. Caller, I'll be right with you. Stand by. I got to tell everybody, when you think about life insurance, health insurance, retirement planning, or employee benefits, all of this and more with our friends that are very accessible and devoted to serving you, Cameron and Siemens Insurance, Highway 24 in Rupert. I urge you to give them a call. I urge you to make an appointment. I urge you to let them help you. Cameron and Siemens Insurance, 436-4424, Highway 24 in Rupert. Caller, good morning. You're on the air.
Thank you. Good morning to you, too. On your comment about the doors that people are just jamming them into another car and they don't take care of it, I got a solution, but it'll be way less money. Put a camera on every parking spot where it would cover the license plate, and all you got to do is get the license plate and on the cameras. That's all you got to do.
You know,
a lot of money, but that would work.
Any idea that would make these people realize that they can't act like slovenly pigs is absolutely necessary. How many times has it happened to you, or have you seen someone do it? I watched the lady when she hit my truck. Have you seen somebody just throw a door open and not give a rip?
It's happened to me before when I drove into the parking place at a store in Burley, and the lady was getting out of the car, and so I politely waited for her to get out, and she banged on mine, and I got out real quick, and I said, hey, can't you watch what you're doing? You're wearing glasses. Pay attention.
Years ago, I had a new truck, and I never will forget this. I was sitting in the truck waiting for Deanne, and a lady pulled in and banged my truck, and the door on the window on Deanne's side was down, and I leaned out and I said, don't hit my truck. And she says, well, big deal. It's just a pickup.
Yeah. No respect. People don't care. There's no respect. They don't watch for people. They don't care. They do their own thing, and that's it. Hey, I'll let you go. Thank you very much.
God bless you, ma'am.
Have a wonderful day.
Thank you. Very nice of you to call. There are times when I wished I had keys to a D9 Cat, and I could go get it quickly and come back and drive right over to the top of their vehicles. Anyway.
I would be the first to help you.
God bless you. Thanks. Have a great day. Calls welcome, 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. What are your thoughts on this? Give me a call quickly. I'd like to hear what you have to say. And it is frustrating. And then you go to pay it, and then, of course, you've got your deductible to worry about and everything. And then, of course, it's some of the paint colors. And I was talking to a guy, Dan Whitman, is a very good friend of mine, and we were talking about paint colors. Some of the newer paints, they look really sharp, and they look really pretty and everything, but they're hard to match up. And once you get it all dinged up and you start trying to fix this and fix that, and pretty soon you've got an Appaloosa that might look like an Appaloosa. Calls welcome, 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. Don't forget our friends at Lee's Furniture, Floors, and More at 459 Overland in Burley. They are saying it's time to spruce up for springtime. Not you, but your house. Well, maybe in your case or my case, maybe we should. But anyway, they've got new shipments of carpeting and luxury vinyl planks, and they've got all the flooring you need to beautify your home, and they've got all the sofas and the love seats and the recliners, anything you need to have a spring spruce up time. And they've got mattress specials, Simmons box sets, only $3.99. You better check it out. Get in there today. Lee's Furniture, Floors, and More with Jeff and the crew at 459 Overland in Burley. Stop in and see them today. Caller, good morning. You're on the air. Go ahead.
Well, good morning, Zeb. This is Jeff, your truck driver, buddy.
Hey, how you doing?
Well, I had a solution to one of those rude people when I used to live up in Seattle. I just bought a brand new car. I mean, I didn't have 200 miles on it yet. And I was parked at this place. I was just getting ready to leave a store. And this guy pulled up in this kind of an older beater pickup truck. And he had a buddy with him. And they flew that passenger door open and just whang right into the side of my door.
Oh.
Made a big old huge crease and stuff. Oh. And I'm like, hey, you just damaged my brand new car. Well, that's just too bad. And they left. Like, okay. Well, I had a solution for that problem. I had a valve core stem remover on me at the time. I flattened all 4 of his tires and took the cord.
Of course, if you'd have been caught, you would have been the one probably to suffer, not only financially, but also with the police. Unfortunately...
I looked around to make sure there wasn't anybody looking.
The retribution factor, when these idiots, and they're non-caring idiots that throw their doors open like that, I have nothing good to say, and I'm not going to apologize for my words. Any accident can happen. You will agree that sometimes you're getting out of your vehicle, the door might be caught by the wind, and it might get pulled out of your hand. I can accept that. But to blatantly throw the door open, like in the case of what happened to me, the lady kicked her door open, there's no excuse for that, and I wish there was a punishment that would put them on the doorstep of hell.
Oh, yeah. But let me tell you, I got back at them, you might say. And I didn't leave the valve stem cores laying on the ground. I took them with me.
You are a nasty person. Thank you for that information.
Well, what do you think? You buy a brand new $15,000 car and didn't even have 200 miles on it, and then some jerk does this.
Yeah.
And then It's like, oh, gee, too bad. See you, and he left.
I could not agree more. I'm not saying I sanction what you did, but I'm kind of envious that I didn't think of it. Thank you very much.
Have a good one.
All right, thank you. Oh, I tell you what, it is frustrating. And if you try to take care of your equipment, you try to take care of your cars and everything, and then you find people that they couldn't care less. We're going to take just a moment here, and we're about ready to have our next guest on the phone, so stand by for that. But I want to remind everybody about what's going on. This is Holy Week and the week of Easter, and it means an awful lot to me. And there's a lot of things going on, I'm sure, with you, your family, your respective church. And I also want to remind you about people that have special items for the celebration of Easter, and maybe you should pay attention right now, because Mad River Laser at 502 East Street in Rupert. These are wonderful people, Nicole and the entire staff, and they're having a great big appreciation sale going on right now. They do appreciate all the business. They do appreciate the folks that have gone in there and got the caps with the embroidery or the polo shirts or whatever. They're having an Easter gift shop sale, and the entire gift shop is on sale. When you spend $50, you'll receive a free flour sack dish towel, and when you spend $100, you'll receive a free canvas tote. They want you to come on in and shop for those special people in your family at Easter time at Mad River Laser, right on the square in Rupert, 502 East Street. You stop in and see them today. Also, our friends over at the Book Plaza, Colonel Dale and the crew at 222 West 11th Street in Burley. You know the Book Plaza, and it's not anything out of the normal range of saying this, because it's true. They have literally tens of thousands of books. All the books and everything, your Precious Moments figurines, all the beautiful art supplies, jewelry, everything. It's right there for your gift giving at Easter time at the Book Plaza, 222 West 11th Street in Burley. You stop in and see them today. Right now, we're going to go to the phone line. I've been really excited to have this lady on the program, and she's got a different twist to everything we hear normally on the 6 o'clock news. Julie Poner, did I say the name right? Good morning to you.
Good morning, Zeb. Yes, you did.
Well, now, you sound like such a sweet lady from Indianapolis, and you're going to be talking about Violence Against Women Act, but the reverse. You think the Violence Against Women Act is absolutely wrong. Give us an explanation.
Well, my personal experience, Zeb, touches on the Violence Against Women Act and immigration marriage fraud. And in 2011, at the last reauthorization of the Violence Against Women Act, I was fortunate enough to testify before the United States Senate Judiciary Committee. I shared my experience and explained to the committee that, unfortunately, the Violence Against Women Act has a legal loophole allowing for immigrants to claim battery and abuse using the Violence Against Women Act, or VAWA, and receive instant legal status in the United States without the sponsorship of their U.S. American spouse.
Oh, my. And you lived through this, didn't you, Julie? You had this happen to you. Can you give us kind of a by-case basis as to what happened to you?
Sure, I'd be happy to. I was married to a man from the Czech Republic. We'd been married for 3 years while we were residing in the U.S. I'd applied as a sponsor for his green card when we received notice of our upcoming interview with immigration agents. And within days after receiving that notice of our upcoming interview, he just announced that we would be divorcing. And he instructed me to continue to sponsor him for his green card, or he would take our twin toddlers at that time back to the Czech Republic, where I would never see them again. And so I began to learn about immigration procedure. And at that interview, thank goodness, immigration officials were very savvy to this sort of ploy, and proceeded to prosecute him for immigration marriage fraud.
You know, Julie, let me ask you this question, and if I'm prying too deep, just ignore me and we'll go on, but did you have any inkling that this man that you were married to was literally trying to play games on your marriage to get what he wanted?
No, I had no idea. And unfortunately, that's really how this plays out. For all the other Americans I've talked to who've suffered the unintended consequences of marrying a foreign national and then facing a domestic violence charge in immigration court, none of them saw it coming. And to take it one step further, once an immigrant spouse claims battery and abuse by an American citizen in immigration proceedings, not only do they immediately receive deferred status, so my husband was not deported. He remained in the country, which left him to further pursue our children and me in family court, which is also an unintended consequence of this. But because the family court system and immigration court don't communicate, it's up to family court judges to self-educate, to understand that this is happening in their courts.
Well, now, let me ask you this question, and I think all of our audience should know this, that this husband of yours was not a shrinking violet. He was a big guy, a former professional hockey player, and he had accused you of abusing him. Is that correct?
That's right. So, Zeb, a foreign national, it's a one-sheet form, an immigration document. You simply check a box claiming to be a battered and abused spouse. Your paperwork is deferred, as I said, and is processed by domestic violence adjudicators rather than immigration investigators or field agents. And in fact, those field agents, those INS investigators, are prohibited from not only alerting the American that they've been named in this claim, but they're prohibited from having any contact with the American named in the claim. There is no due process. The immigrant filing as a battered and abused spouse is accepted on face value.
You know, you saw your whole family disintegrate. I mean, you were absolutely arrested by the FBI, and you saw your kids put in foster care. Can you give us kind of a thumbnail sketch of your whole life must have seemed a total disaster at that point?
It did. So once an immigrant files this, again, this VAWA loophole in immigration proceedings, that's all it takes. So in family court proceedings or in the other parts of our lives, there was no claim by him of domestic violence or battery and abuse because it was non-existent. In fact, the twist to this is that he was abusive to our children. And my children and I were actually living in hiding for a time because the family court failed to protect them from their dad's threats to abduct them and failed to protect them from his heavy hand.
You know, I can't imagine what you've gone through, but the Violence Against Women Act, and I really don't understand it in its entirety as much as I should, but you had kind of a fact sheet that was sent to me about all the things the general public should be aware of, and it really is a diminishment to the family values, and also it could be a huge burden on the taxpayers. Would you explain that a little bit to us?
Well, it is a huge burden. You're right. There are problems with the Violence Against Women Act, frankly, that have been exposed over the most recent reauthorizations. At its heart, there was integrity to this act, but unfortunately, as the VAWA advocates received funding and spending and additional funding, we've really began to raise questions with the original integrity of the Violence Against Women Act. So it's being misused, unfortunately, for political reasons by VAWA advocates who fail to recognize that VAWA, as it's implemented, for instance, in immigration proceedings, has created a new class of victims, the American citizens, and there are thousands of us. But VAWA advocates fail to address it, fail to recognize it, which I think is fair to ask then, what is the mission or the true agenda of VAWA advocates? If you are truly a proponent of victims of violence, men, women, and children, we all fall under the auspices of the Violence Against Women Act. If you're an advocate for VAWA and you're truly concerned about helping victims, then I would think that would include American citizen victims. But without due process, and Zeb, we're not able to find out who the true victim is.
Oh, my. You know, one thing I was reading about, and I'd like you to kind of go in depth about, is that the Violence Against Women Act really does nothing to address the cause of domestic violence or abuse. It basically just kind of shines it on and doesn't do anything to curb it or stop it, does it?
No, it doesn't. So oftentimes where counseling would be beneficial for, let's say, a family, a married couple, who's experienced some kind of discord. Not all violence against women or not all domestic violence is severe. And so sometimes with counseling or addressing the underlying issues of violence, substance abuse, for instance, that's overlooked.
You know, one of the things also, Julie, that I was reading is that it encourages immigration fraud. If you were to put numbers on this problem or percentages, and people that abuse and use the system just to get here to the United States, how big is this problem today?
Well, this is where we run into some issues, statistic-wise and data-wise, not only with answering the question you just asked, but also in addressing the fiscal responsibility, for instance, of VAWA grantees. And we realized and discovered in the last reauthorization that the Inspector General, the Office of the Inspector General, reviewed, I think, 22 grant recipients, and found that 21 of those 22 investigated had issues with fiscal responsibility, being able to show how the money was spent. Unfortunately, there aren't hard figures for how many Americans are suffering under this misuse of VAWA.
Oh, my.
You know that visas issued for immigrants coming in to marry an American run roughly $300,000 a year.
Wow. Julie, again, is there a summation or a closing of the book in your life to the point where you finally have everything put back together? I would certainly hope and pray that you have a good relationship again with your children. Can you bring us up to speed as to what's going on in your life today?
I'd be happy to. Fortunately, this didn't affect my relationship with my children. It was unfortunate, certainly, and I have sole custody of my children today. So, because my husband was able to stay in the country, claiming to be a battered and abused spouse, and the family court system failed to recognize what was really at the heart of our marriage and our divorce and custody battle, that lasted about 7 years.
Wow.
We haven't seen or heard from him in nearly 17 years. So I think his agenda to defraud me through marriage and then further defraud the United States through immigration law is quite clear, right? Time tells, and that's true. That old adage is true.
You know,
and so we're doing fine today, and I've picked this issue up because what happened to my children, frankly, should never have happened and should not continue to happen.
But are you being listened to? I mean, you were in front of a hearing for the Senate. Did they listen to you? Did you gain the respect necessary to change the laws or alter the act itself? I mean, what's the net result here?
Well, unfortunately, no. So in 2011, Senator Chuck Grassley was the Republican ranking member of the Senate Judiciary Committee, and Patrick Leahy was the chairman, Democrat Patrick Leahy. It's a political issue. It shouldn't be, and it hadn't been up until 2011. It had been bipartisan. but now it's a very partisan and very political issue. And it was unfortunate, Seth, that in 2011 the Democrats were able to drag their feet with VAWA, include some language that the Republicans just could not agree with, and failed to bring it to the floor for the Republicans to discuss, and then used it as a fundraising campaign for the Democrats. And that's when the Republicans being labeled as launching a war on women first came into play.
I see.
So we've been shouted down at every turn. We did not get the immigration provisions that we requested, and we're finding that this current reauthorization is even more expansive and bloated than the last time.
Julie, and again, I'm naive on this, so bear with me, but would the revocation of the Violence Against Women Act be the best start of a scenario to clean it up and then take each case on a case-by-case basis? How far out in left field am I? What's the answer here?
Well, I think the answer, frankly, is to reach out to the Senate Judiciary Committee leadership. So Senator Chuck Grassley, for instance, the Republican who is, as I said, now the chairman, who was the ranking chairman last reauthorization, I think would be most helpful. This touches every American. If you're a taxpayer, then the Violence Against Women Act is something you should be interested in. The year I testified, VAWA received $500 million in funding, as reported by the Government Accountability Office.
Wow.
So I think, Deb, you're not off base at all. It really does need a thorough checkup. And the advocates, I think, should be asked to explain their positions and why they want what they want. I think that's only fair and reasonable. Those of us who want changes are happy to explain why we want the changes we want, and we have the data and the information to substantiate our concerns and our claims.
Julie, would it be wise, as considering Violence Against Women Act, a possible consideration in the Trump administration's immigration reform? Wouldn't that be kind of a catalyst to get it lumped into so that it could be studied and reviewed and possibly even stopped?
Yeah, I think so, Zeb. It's interesting, again, just to touch on my story, where immigration and the Violence Against Women Act intersect. Because it's a loophole that seems specific to VAWA, or the Violence Against Women Act, that's where we've addressed it. But we are open to considering any and all possibilities for getting this resolved. Fortunately for the government and for VAWA advocates and proponents, we have yet to tie in a national security incident or issue with marriage fraud. But it's clearly a national security implication and issue.
Absolutely. Now, you are working with an organization called Stop Abusive and Violent Environments, called SAVE. Why don't you give us a little thumbnail sketch on that, please?
Well, SAVE is a terrific organization. They've been around for a long time. And Ed Bartlett, who is president of SAVE, is behind this newly formed coalition of a diverse group of organizations. They number 44 plus as we speak, and the coalition is growing day by day. The coalition to end domestic violence, CEDV, would be a great stop for your listeners interested in this issue. There's also another site associated with CEDV called N2DV.org, ENDTODV.org. There's a lot of information there, Zeb, on the organizations and why we are pushing for a seat at the table for the upcoming draft of the Violence Against Women Act.
Absolutely. You know, real quick, a lot of people don't realize this is a major threat and a major problem in this country. What makes the problem larger? Is it maybe people that are living underneath a shoestring budget and they can't make enough money for the household and they lash out at each other? Are there any common causes that promote this problem?
Yes, the one you just touched on. And substance abuse would be another. There are a lot of reasons for discord or for a struggle in a family, I think we can all probably relate to that. They're common sense issues that can be managed through common sense measures. And that's also something else that the organization SAVE especially takes great interest in and has advocated for a number of years.
Well, Julie, I want to say thank you to you, and I certainly appreciate and respect the way you handled some of my naive questions regarding this, what's happening with your organization, SAVE and CEDV. Julie Poner, I thank you so much for being on the program, and please know you're welcome back anytime. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Zeb. I appreciate your time this morning. Thanks so much.
All right. God bless. Thank you. Very, very nice lady right there, Julie Poner, and talking about how the left uses domestic violence as its political toy, and they are. We've got to get a weather forecast on here. Old Wheels over there at the station. He gets all upset when we're not right on time. And our weather brought to you this hour by our friends at Phillips Oaks Goodwin Crane and Company. Oh, my goodness sakes. These are people that have been providing accounting services to the Mini-Cash area for well over 50 years. I'm not kidding. They are the best at what they do, and boy, this is a busy, busy time for them. We're only a matter of weeks away from tax time. Well, they've been providing accounting services to the Mini-Cash area for well over 50 years. The best of tax return preparation, tax planning, assistance with the IRS communications, oh boy, and of course, retirement planning, all of this and so much more, with offices in Burley and Rupert. Phillips Oaks Goodwin Crane and Company. And right now, here's Scotty with the weather.
Warming up and windy with your Zeb at the Ranch weather forecast. Scotty Cameron sitting in for Gina Jameson. That's right. Going to be breezy and warming up a little bit. Mostly sunny today. Expecting a high of 52. Partly cloudy tonight with a low of 37. For tomorrow, still going to be seeing wind and sun. Highs around 54. Partly cloudy for Wednesday night. A low of 34. Now for Thursday, mostly sunny. A high of 55. The warming trend continues with clouds Thursday night. A low of 35. Then for Friday, could see highs near 60 with mostly sunny skies. That's your Zeb at the Ranch weather forecast. I'm Scotty Cameron.
Oh, Scotty. Good job, my friend. Appreciate it. Thank you. And the weather brought to you by Phillips Oaks Goodwin Crane and Company. People that you need to get to know. Absolutely. Whether you're a family, a business, they can help you. They will help you with your taxes and your accounting services. Absolutely. Phillips Oaks Goodwin Crane and Company with offices in Burley and Rupert. I've got time for a couple of calls. Give me a jingle on the landline. I would love to hear from you. I was never a fan of the sitcom 20 years ago, Roseanne. I really didn't care for it. I thought Roseanne was kind of like sandpaper. I didn't like her. And I thought John Goodman was a good actor. I still do, but I just never was a fan. Well, tonight, ABC Television Network is going to have a rebirth of the TV sitcom called Roseanne. And they're starting with the original cast and members of the cast as it was 20 years ago. Of course, with the different rights of the copy and the script, all adults now, the kids have grown up and everything else. But I was not aware until recently that Roseanne Barr, in real life, is absolutely a Make America Great Again sponsor and advocate of the Trump campaign. And it comes out, supposedly, in this first episode that's going to be on tonight, where Roseanne and her sister get into a pretty good arbitration about if they should continue on with the liberal left and Obama campaign promises or go to Make America Great Again with Donald Trump. And from the excerpts that I've seen and heard, Roseanne Barr is very, very outspoken in favor of Trump's administration policies. So we'll see what they say. Calls are welcome. 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. Give me a jingle on the landline, and I would love to talk to you. And again, I want to remind you about our friends with Lennox. While I'm waiting for your call, I lost the paper. Here it is. Airvana, which is defined as the ultimate level of comfort you'll achieve and receive with the presence of a new Lennox home comfort system. When you buy a new Lennox home comfort system at Ramsey Heating and Electric, you can get up to $1,700 in rebates. Possibly. You bet. Airvana is just another way to make you feel better. So call Ramsey Heating and Electric today at 678-0459 or visit them on the website ramseysonline.com. All right, your turn. Give me a call, 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. I do have, and I thank you for sending me a lot of the public service announcements, and I need to get this one on because I think it's almost outdated. I'll check it out. The seedling tree orders, and this is from Doreen McMurray, are now being taken by the Soil and Water Conservation Districts. 11 varieties of seedlings are available, and contact either 572-3369, that's an Idaho number, 572-3369, or 436-4202 for details. Caller, good morning. You're on the air.
Yes, good morning, Zeb. It is a good morning.
Hello, Tony in Twin Falls.
Oh, it's sunny, and the reception is really good.
Well, good, man. That is great. How's Mary doing this morning?
Full of fire as usual.
I'll tell you what, I would never, ever make her mad. Don't ever turn your back.
You don't want to do that. That gal from Tennessee, she's your best friend or your worst enemy.
You know what I like about her the most? She's got spunk, she's got drive, she's got a lot of desire, she loves life, and I just absolutely appreciate knowing her. What can I do for you?
Well, one thing that's on my mind, and we've got this group of young people out there that are demonstrating against guns, the government, and Trump, and everything else. And there's a bunch of people that figure that people like you and I, the taxpayers, owe them a living.
Yeah.
We should make life easy for them. And, pretty soon there's going to be more of those people coming into this country, and there's going to be not enough taxpayers to support these people.
Absolutely. And why should we? Why should you take your hard-earned nickels, dimes, quarters, dollar bills and help support someone that's going to go on the dole? I don't want to. I don't care what anybody says. I'm having a hard enough time trying to take care of my situation. I give and help as much as I can, but I don't want to have leeches dig into my pocket and take my money.
I remember as a kid that my dad couldn't pay the rent when we were living in the cold water flats. The next morning, we were put out in the street.
Yeah.
And that's something I never forgot. We had to go live with this relative and that relative.
Yeah, I agree.
Until my dad found a job. And then I see all these people that are on a dole, all the ones that are getting free educations at the College of Southern Idaho. And, boy, I'll tell you, that just turns me off.
I got to run to the news, Tony, but I appreciate your comments as always. Be sure and call me back tomorrow morning when we've got a little bit more time. Thank you, my dear friend. I'll talk to you later.
Sure will.
All right, thank you.
Okay.
We're going to run to the news right now from CBS. I'll be back in about 7 minutes with Dr. History. Don't go away. Well, I wonder how the Eagles and the Ducks are today. It's a great day for both. Hey, I'll tell you what, Zeb at the Ranch. We had some bad luck in the last hour with a gentleman that was going to call in from Italy and talk to us about the tariff program with the Trump administration, and we couldn't find him. And then I got to thinking, well, we're going to save the day because this hour we're going to have a man that we know is in the studio, and that's Dr. History in just a few minutes. Zeb at the Ranch, brought to you by our major sponsor, your Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers, all 7 locations with a great big spring tire sale right now. you got to go in there and get ready for all your spring and summer driving. And, of course, don't forget some of our great advertisers like Burley Physical Therapy and Rehabilitation at 1263 Bennett Avenue, Suite 2 in Burley, helping you get back to being you. There is a gentleman that is a dear, dear friend in the studio right now, and we have a segment on my program called Dr. History, and here he is, the general practitioner of history. That's a good way to put it.
That was pretty impressive, Zeb. How did you come up with that?
Well, thank you. You're excused now. You can go home. And what are we going to talk about
Well,
today?
if I got up and left right now, you'd really be...
No, let's not go there. We had a private discussion just a minute ago, and you know how mad I can get.
All right, we'll just move right on into this.
Good man, good man.
So let me ask you this question, Zeb. When you think about lost gold mines and stuff like that...
Automatically.
Okay, so what are some of the states that you would think of?
Arizona, Lost Dutchman Gold Mine.
Okay, other states.
California, and I can't think of the name. It was by Placerville, California, and I can't think of the name.
So you're thinking of Arizona, California.
Yeah.
Montana?
Well,
how come?
Somewhat, yeah.
So how come Idaho didn't come right off the top of your head?
Are you chastising me for not saying that?
Yes,
I don't need any more of that today.
All right, here we go. You know, not too many hunters of lost mines consider Idaho worthy of consideration.
I didn't know that they had a lot of gold.
Yeah, so that's what we're going to go into.
Was it primarily silver?
Silver and gold, yeah.
Oh,
you bet.
Okay.
So, you know, the placers and the lodes that were mined are well known. There was a lot of mining in Idaho, you know. Yeah. But in addition, something over $1 billion in gold was taken from old Idaho mines that were developed following accidental finds. $1 billion. And this is back then in the 1800s.
So that's how you started your chiropractic business.
I found gold. Not really. But there were also discoveries that for one reason or another are well known only to a few men. Some of them were what we would call lost before they were ever worked.
Really?
And that's what we're going to talk about. Okay. The lost mines of Idaho.
Really?
Yeah. And there are several. And this may surprise you.
Are some of them pretty close to here?
Actually, there is. And
really?
we'll get to that one.
Okay.
And you and I might just have to go looking.
Bye.
So one of the more famous and long sought was discovered by a young greenhorn in 1863. Now, this guy was employed by an Idaho packer that was running a string of horses and mules to the Montana mines. Now, unable to get an experienced man and in a hurry to get going, he hired this young man. Well, the train carrying gold and other freight moved south from Virginia City down through the Monida Pass near present-day Spencer, Idaho. Now, geographically, for the listeners, this is straight north of Idaho Falls.
Okay.
Up by the Montana-Idaho border.
Oh, okay. Monida Pass. Yeah,
right.
You're going through that area.
Yeah, in the little town of Spencer.
Right.
But so they were going through there, and anyway, some of the mules and the horses strayed off during the night, grazing like they do. Well, the young man, who by then had learned to follow a trail of tracks, was sent to try to find the stock. Okay. Now, while tracking the animals, he came onto a low-lying ledge at the base of which were some fragments of kind of a rosy speckled quartz. Okay, now he didn't know what it was, but he filled his coat pockets with this, what he called pretty rocks, and then he found the pack animals and drove them back to camp. Well, the train proceeded on to Salt Lake City. They delivered the freight, loaded up merchandise to go back to Virginia City, which, again, our listeners should know that that's kind of in the southwestern corner of Montana.
See, I was thinking of the other Virginia city in Nevada.
No, this is Virginia City and Nevada City. That's
okay. You're going up north.
Yeah,
okay.
But in Montana.
Okay.
So they were loading up stuff to take back to Virginia City, and it was only then that the packer saw these, quote, pretty rocks that his helper had gathered. Well, on inspection, they interested him enough that he had the quartz assayed, and he wasn't surprised at all when it ran $25,000 in gold to the ton.
He was packing that kind of rock in his pocket?
25,000, and I don't know exactly how they do that assay stuff.
So what happened to the kid? Did he remain a rich man, or did they take it from him?
Well, we're going to get there.
Well, I wish you would.
Okay. I got to keep you on the edge of your seat.
I am.
All right. So hitting the trail, the packer made straight for the old camp below the Idaho-Montana line. Well, the youth took him in where he thought he had found the quartz, but of course it wasn't the right spot. After a week of hunting and looking, they couldn't find it. They went on to Montana.
Really?
And in succeeding years, there were others that looked a little bit, never was found.
So it's still there?
It's still there.
Let's go.
Well, there's snow up there right now.
Oh, chicken.
All right. So the next one. Now, you asked if there's something close by. Okay. On the Upper Raft River area, which is not very far from us.
Yeah, let's go.
Here,
okay.
Guy by the name of George Wilson came into a 10-inch vein of dark quartz filled with gold.
Oh,
right?
my.
Now, the rotten ore just kind of fell apart easily, and the gold was recovered in little tiny pieces.
You mean it was laying right out in the open?
Yeah, just on this 10-inch ledge or vein of gold.
Over at Raft River?
Over in the upper part of Raft River, yeah. But it came out in sheets and in nuggets. I mean, just...
That's what George Montgomery had in his pocket the other day. Okay.
Okay. I don't know who that... Anyway, okay. Anyway, so he gathered up as much as he could and loaded it onto his 2 burros, and Wilson went into Burley, and
no kidding.
Which is right by us, obviously.
Well, yeah, obviously you live there. I'd say
there.
obviously.
It's pretty close.
Yeah.
So he went in and he sold the gold, and he didn't keep anything secret about the strike. He was telling everybody and anybody that would listen.
That's dumb.
And this happens time and time again.
You know, really, in the Old West, they talked too much.
They did, but there's quite a few that prepared to return with him to stake their own claims.
Yeah.
They were going to go with him.
So when you stake a claim, pardon me, how much of a variance or how much width or land do you have to have in between each claim?
That's a good question, and I don't know. I've been reading about the Alaskan Klondike.
Yeah.
And when they staked a claim, they had so many feet by so many feet. So it was like a square.
I see.
So, but here, I don't know if that's a good question. I need to find that out.
Okay.
So, anyway, the night before they were getting ready to go, Wilson got into an argument with the dealer in a poker game. The dealer, who had been accused of cheating, shot Wilson twice through the chest.
Wait a minute. This is the guy that found the gold.
This is the guy that found the gold.
It didn't do him much good.
No. 2 friends of the prospector standing nearby, they retaliated by shooting the dealer dead.
This sounds like it could get serious.
It already is. So they buried Wilson. The prospecting party went out into the southeast near the headwaters of the Raft River.
Yeah.
But even with all the description, he told them where it was. They still could not find his strike, nor has anyone found it to this day. And most professional hunters believe the Wilson mine is right now between Almo, the little town of Almo, and where State Highway 30 crosses Raft River.
I've got to call Carnell Erickson. He better be up there with a pick and shovel at 1 o'clock.
Yeah.
Hey, we've got a caller with a question.
Okay.
Caller, quickly, you're on the air.
No, it isn't a question. It's just information. A load claim is 600 feet by 1,500 feet, and a placer claim is 20 acres.
Okay.
Wow. How did you know all that off the top of your head, lady? She's gone.
She's gone. Well, now we know.
I appreciate that. I know that lady, and she's very, very smart.
So it's a specific amount of land, either feet by feet or
and
acres.
so a claim jumper is a guy that's going to basically jump into your property.
Area, right.
Yeah.
Yep. Okay, so let's move on to another one.
Oh, another one.
1888, a guy by the name of Bill Tyler and Sam Goddard, they were on a bear hunt, and they were in the southwestern corner of Clark County, kind of rough country, but they're just, out hunting. But anyway, Goddard found a place where the rocks were really heavy. Well, and this interested him enough to gather up about 50 pounds. He carried them back to camp.
Wait a minute, whoa. He carried 50 pounds of rock in his
I think he had a
pocket?
horse.
Oh, okay.
He had a horse.
All right.
It doesn't say that, but I'm going to say he had a horse. I'm not going to carry 50 pounds of rocks.
You're not big enough.
I know it. Anyway, they didn't think much about the ore. Nevertheless, the stuff was taken to Du Bois. And now this is also in that same area up there by the Montana-Idaho border.
Okay.
North of Idaho Falls.
Okay.
Okay. So anyway, the assay was made, and it ran 800 to 1,200 ounces in silver to the ton. So gold and silver were the 2 biggest things that were found in Idaho.
And it was just laying on the ground.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Holy.
So anyway, they were pretty happy about that, and they were going to be rich men. Well, they rushed back to their bear hunting camp on what they call Birch Creek, but they could not find a trace of the silver ore after 3 weeks of searching. Never found.
Never found again?
Never found again.
I want to go back to the one at Raft River. Pinpoint to me a little closer the location as to where that was found.
Okay, if you go up through Albin, Elba, over to Alamo, before you go into the City of Rocks.
Okay.
Then you head over towards Malta, which would be more like kind of a northeastern direction.
Okay.
But that's big areas, Ed.
Yeah.
I
but
mean,
we can do it.
Okay, we'll load
we
up
can do it.
Load up your horses.
We'll use your pickup.
Okay. All right, let's get another one in here.
Okay.
All right. This one's called the Lost Texas Jack Mine.
Texas Jack,
and it's probably the second most famous in Idaho. Okay, so there's a guy named John. They called him Texas Jack. John Johnson. Okay, he died suddenly in Salmon City in 1886, having come there to spend the winter. And for the 5 preceding years, he had been bringing in and selling raw gold in large amounts.
No kidding.
Yeah. So they found in his personal effects there was some ore that assayed at 3,000 ounces of silver to the ton. He had brought in and sold gold, not silver, which would have had to be smeltered. But found also was a hand-drawn map of his silver mine, accompanied by detailed instructions on how to find it.
Uh-huh.
Now, from the wording, it apparently was intended for a relative or a friend or something. That's why he drew the map. It wasn't just to give out to everybody. But anyway, Johnson seemed to have realized that he was going to die because he was sick. He had tuberculosis.
Yeah.
Well, the map, despite them having a map and the instructions, prospectors who went forth to hunt the Texas Jack Mine failed to find even one of his old campsites.
No, where was this is located primarily?
Let's see. Now, I'm not sure exactly where this one was.
Oh.
It doesn't really say.
Okay.
But it was in Idaho.
Okay.
Somewhere. Anyway.
All right. Well, that leaves
So there's another one. Never found.
Never found.
All right. So here we go with another one.
Oh, my goodness.
Okay. Now, there's a lot of what they call lost burrow mines in the far west, but one in Idaho resulted in the greatest discovery of silver and lead in mining history. Now, this name you're going to recognize. His name was N.S. Kellogg.
Oh, well, they
Kellogg.
named a town after
Exactly.
him. Okay.
Well, he was a carpenter. He was out of work, and he persuaded 2 merchants to grubstake him to $20 worth of goods and prospecting stuff because he wanted to go into the mountains. And anyway, one of the nights, his 3 burros strayed. How many times does that happen? They're out looking for stray.
Story. They're looking for the doggone jackasses that got away.
Well, maybe they were smarter than we think. So he was trying to find them. Kellogg sat down on an outcropping of rock, just kind of sitting there like we would, picking up a few small rocks around his feet, and he was surprised by their weight. Now, that's got to be a clue, Zeb. If we're out in the mountains and we pick up some rocks that are really heavy, maybe we better take a look.
Well, I'm picturing this guy sitting on a ledge picking up a rock and saying, "Oh, he's throwing rocks down the hill into the river."
Whatever, yeah.
What would you do if you threw one that was gold? I'd be in that river in about 2 seconds.
Well, I don't know if he knew that, but so anyway. He got a sack, filled it up with the best specimens, and during the following week he found nothing else, so he returned to town. Well, when his grub stakers expressed disappointment over Kellogg's failure to produce anything, he said lamely, he kind of said, "Well, here, I've got these rocks. You want to take a look at these rocks?" So the rocks he brought back were assayed. They proved to run almost pure silver.
You're kidding.
Pure silver.
Wow.
Well, his grub stakers asked where the ore had been found, and Kellogg said, well, I'll go show you. So, but he couldn't find the exact source of the silver where he'd been sitting, okay, again. But he kept hunting, and while his backers began to write him off as being a crook, they kind of thought, yeah, he just made this up. But how could you make up the assay of that silver?
No kidding.
So one afternoon, when Kellogg was about to give up, he came onto a ledge that resembled the one he'd found before. He knocked out enough samples to have it assayed. It proved to be high-grade silver, and actually a lot of people don't know this, but it had a big percentage of lead, which also was a good thing.
Really?
In the same stuff. So the mine then developed was called the Bunker Hill Mine.
Oh, for
and you've heard of
sakes.
that.
Yes, I have.
And another one called the Sullivan Mine. Both right up there in northern Idaho.
And he took the net profits and started the Kellogg Cereal Company.
Well, you just wait, Zeb. So, they became the greatest producers of silver and lead in the world.
Wow.
Millions were taken from these two mines. The town of Kellogg, like we said, was named for the prospector, and he got nothing from the two mines because he lost a lawsuit filed by his grubstakers on their claimed rights for $20.
Oh,
he got
to be
he
kidding
got
me.
nothing.
This guy got nothing?
Well, but here, he knew that his previous discovery was even richer. The first one that he found that he couldn't re-find.
Yeah.
So he searched the mountainsides hoping that he'd find it, and he never did.
Is he still up there?
He probably is, wandering those hills.
Like Jeremiah Johnson.
He could be. Okay, I think we got time for one more, don't we?
You've got another lost mine?
I'm just getting going.
Oh, my.
All right. Now, historic Florence, which is south of Lewiston.
My aunt was named Florence, and she was historic, too, let me tell you.
Well, this is up, for our listeners, Lewiston is up kind of in the northern part of Idaho near the Washington border. Okay. So, historic Florence, south of Lewiston, has a number of lost placers and lode mines. Gold was discovered there in 1859. By 1860, the entire Salmon River region was swarming with prospectors from every state and several foreign countries. And one of the most notable discoveries was that made by a guy by the name of Pablo Sanchez and Manuel Hernandez. Now, these guys were Spaniards from California, and that's the two guys we're going to talk about. Now, other miners made things so tough for them that they packed their
I'm not saying anything.
Okay.
You're on your own,
Let me
Buckwheat.
get my tongue back around this. So, anyway, they packed their 4 burros with supplies to last a month.
Once they found them.
Yeah. Then they went east, completely away from the gold fields, where the fortunes were being made overnight. And by shooting wild game, they extended their food supplies through the 2 months. And returning to Florence in September of 1860, they unloaded sacks of dust and coarse gold from the burros. An accommodating merchant from whom they bought supplies shipped the largest part of their recovery north to Lewiston by a pack train. So they had found something somewhere. Okay. Now, the 2 prospectors were gone before the news got around of this enormous amount of gold they had brought in. Now, the merchant, he had no idea where their strike was either. But a month later, they were back with about the same amount of gold. This time, there was a little more excitement about this whole thing. And people were trying to get information. And anyway, Sanchez and Hernandez, they were aware that they were kind of in a precarious situation. Because, here you are with all this 2 times bringing a whole bunch of gold. And so what they did is they left in the middle of the night. Which is a smart thing to do.
Sounds like a chiropractor.
Anyway, after their first camp, the prospectors discovered that 4 men were coming along their trail. Now, even worse, a large party had held up some distance to the rear of these 4 trackers. Okay, so they got a whole bunch of people behind them.
Holy smokes, you got the whole doggone town after them.
Well, the next day, Sanchez and Hernandez remained in camp. They knew they were being watched closely. They cooked their meal, ate.
So they didn't have anybody else with them except just the 2 of them?
The 2 of them, followed by those other 4 guys, followed by a bunch more behind them. Anyway, so they cooked their night meal, they bedded down, and shortly after midnight, they packed the burros and streaked on east, well north of the Salmon River Canyon.
They didn't streak on east on a burro.
Okay, well, they made a good time.
Good time.
Now, the trackers, however, had almost caught up with the prospectors by the next sundown, so Sanchez and Hernandez... I lost them. Here they are. So they remained in camp again, okay?
He didn't number the pages, folks.
Yeah, so, okay, here we are. So here's Sanchez and Hernandez. They were in camp again, just kind of quietly going on about their business. And anyway, when going through some of these deep creeks and running south into the river, they saw a chance to escape. Okay, they found a way they could get away from these guys that were trying to follow them.
Yeah.
And there was a really rough trail near the headwaters of a creek, and this led them through a canyon and beyond to what they figured they were safe. So they thought they'd pretty well lost these people who were trying to follow them. Well, the tracking party, after 3 weeks of trying to find him, couldn't find him. So they returned to Florence, and they were kind of mad about this because they really wanted to find this where they were going. Well, they reported that it is as certain that the placer of Sanchez and Hernandez was in one of the canyon creeks emptying into the Salmon River. So we know that it was up in that wilderness area somewhere. But in less than a month, the Spaniards returned to Florence, picked up their money from the merchant, and traveled on to Lewiston. There they took a boat downriver and went overland to their homes in California.
Wow.
So they got away, so to speak, almost.
So their lives were spared.
Well, let me keep going. So anyway, like I said, they went back to California, and when he was questioned, the merchant said that if the amount of gold they took to Lewiston was even half as much as they brought in on the previous trips, Sanchez and Hernandez had surely taken at least $500,000 from their mine, from their placer.
Holy smokes.
Well, the figure stunned the local miners, although some placers had produced, a lot, but the Spaniards getting $500,000, I mean, that was unthinkable.
Yeah.
That was so. Anyway, now that winter, several parties of prospectors went to the North Creeks of the Salmon River, hunting for this bonanza. They found a crude one-room cabin with a flat dirt roof, and it was found on a creek. And Sanchez and Hernandez had obviously stayed there from time to time, so they knew they were right in that area. But careful prospecting of the canyon brought no color, no gold, and the cabin was the only overnight stopping place. Well, some supposition existed that the two Spaniards had worked out a pocket of gold, and that's why when they left, why they left the country. Now, in May of 1861, they showed up again out of California in Florence with pack burros, and they were kind of hanging around, not being in too big of a hurry, but they did leave one night and managed to get away without being seen. Well, the miners who tried to track them down never picked up their trail. 2 months later, two men going to Florence found both Spaniards dead in a camp not 4 miles from town, from the town of Florence.
Really?
Their burros were still kind of hanging around, although the men had been dead at least 2 weeks. Their few possessions were scattered about. Their pockets had been opened and taken.
Wow.
Anyway, they were killed by robbers. Whatever gold they had was carried away. And anyway, nobody ever found what the Spaniards had found. So another lost mine somewhere up in that Salmon River area.
Well, I think we're out of time, but I will say this, that I think it would behoove you and I to get our gear together and head out tomorrow for the one at Raft River.
Okay. We know that's close by.
Oh, we should. Let's see. Tomorrow's what? Wednesday. If we
by
leave
Thursday,
after the program, yeah, we should be in the bank by what?
Thursday
Friday
afternoon.
Yeah, Thursday afternoon, Friday morning.
Yeah.
Okay.
Making a big deposit.
Yep. Watch out behind you. Don't lose your burro. I almost said something else. Got to run.
Goodbye, Zeb.
Yeah, goodbye. Dr. History, we'll see you next week. Thank you. God bless. You're going to be here next week, aren't
yes.
you? Okay, good. We'll look forward to it. With all that being said, I'm quickly going to tell you that on Thursdays we have another segment, and it's called Cassia County School Days, and it's brought to you by A Child's World at 1308 Overland in Burley, and wonderful clothing and furniture, all the goodies for the young ones, and, of course, toys and games and puzzles, all of this and so much more at a family store, A Child's World, 1308 Overland in Burley. Along with the Ambulatory Surgery Center at 1344 Highland Avenue in Burley. Don't forget, for your outpatient surgeries, they can and they will save you money. Ambulatory Surgery Center at 1344 Highland in Burley. The number to call, 677-8888. Sponsoring Cassia County School Days on Thursdays at 10:10. And now, without further ado, let's send it back over to our main studios. I'll be back in 3 minutes.
And now, back to Zeb at the Ranch on AM 1230 KBAR. To reach Zeb, call 436-2244 or toll free 1-866-927-4587. And now, here is Zeb Bell.
Oh, thank you very much, and welcome back to our last half hour. I have missed having this gentleman on our program for the last month or so. He always does a great job writing for the Stream, and he's got an article that I really wanted him on the air last week, and we couldn't make connections, but it's called Hate Speech is a Myth Used to Steal Basic Freedoms. And I say good morning to John Zemurek. John, how are you, sir?
Thanks, Sam. I'm good. It's good to be back on. Yeah, it's really appalling. I just found out that this woman, Lauren Southern, has been banned from the United Kingdom for the rest of her life.
Oh, wow.
For being critical of the tenets of Sharia law, for criticizing the fact that the Muslim legal system called for the death penalty for homosexuals, women who are accused of adultery, and Muslims who become Christians. The death penalty. She's critical of that. So Great Britain says that's hate speech, and she can never enter the country for the rest of her life. Meanwhile, hate preachers, Muslim hate preachers who call for death to the infidel, who call for Sharia to be imposed on Great Britain by force, they walk around London preaching that message, and a lot of them live there on public assistance with their multiple wives and dozen or so children.
John,
that's how crazy things have gotten.
John, let me ask you this, and your story is just so well done, and I've got it highlighted and underlined here. But do people, in your opinion, are they so naive that they think it can't happen here?
Well, it is happening here on campus. I mean, there are universities where you can't say that you think abortion should be illegal, where you can't defend the Second Amendment, because people claim that's having a negative impact on me, that makes me feel unsafe. That's a threat. That your words are an act of violence against me, and the universities are censoring people for their debates on mainstream political issues. It's completely insane. But it all grows out of the idea that you're allowed to limit someone's speech. And I want to question that whole idea. I want to say I advocate an almost absolute freedom of speech. If somebody wants to get up there and say that they want to repeal the 13th Amendment and reimpose slavery, it's idiotic, but they shouldn't go to jail for that. They should be laughed at. They should maybe not get a job, but they should not be locked in prison. That's a fundamental human right to speak, even to say stupid things. The only things that should be limited should be libel, slander, and immediate threats of violence and calls to violently overthrow the government. Apart from that, we can't be restricting speech because we see where it leads.
Are we falling into the trap already? And I would assume that you're going to say yes to this, but are we falling into the pitfalls of what the Islamic traditions want us to do, is to not only abide by Sharia law, but anything you say can and will be held against you, and you will be terminated? Is that really where we're headed?
It's definitely where we're headed. It definitely is. When you combine these threats to free speech with the ways in which we've seen the FBI, it can't stop mass shooters. It can't ferret out real spies, but it will surveil us. It will unmask our names. Look what it did to the Trump campaign. Look at the politicized FBI. It was behaving like the East German Stasi. The threats to our fundamental liberties are getting stronger and fiercer, and the number, it used to be that mainstream liberals, the ACLU, would defend free speech even in unsavory cases. The ACLU even defended Nazis marching through the streets because they wanted to defend freedom of speech. They don't do that anymore. The ACLU has gotten on board with the so-called hate speech movement to label your opinions as hate speech. And in the European Union, it's terrible. There are people in jail now in Germany for criticizing Chancellor Merkel's immigration policy.
Wow.
Think about that. Imagine it's illegal even to debate immigration policy.
How did this come about over in Europe, in Germany, and other places, John? I mean, what were some of the catalyst points that all of a sudden thrust this upon the public, and now they're reaping the rewards of having the government act as a Gestapo?
Well, a lot of it was done as a pretext after World War II. They saw, they didn't want the Nazi Party to be openly operate in Germany after World War II. And I can see that. I can see maybe for 10 years, we're going to override free speech in this short-term situation because of the extreme thing we're reacting against. But now, laws that were created to stop people who just left power in the Third Reich from restarting the Nazi Party, they're being used to stop people from debating immigration policy, from debating the European Union. Basically, you should assume anytime you give the government a power, it's going to be abused. And try to imagine the worst way it could be abused. It will probably be abused worse than that. That was the philosophy of our founders. That's why they tried to limit the government through the Constitution and the Bill of Rights. But now, we see these misguided high school students being manipulated behind the scenes by George Soros. They're marching in the streets demanding that the Second Amendment be repealed. And you see the left is willing to override the First Amendment. Campaign finance reform, so-called, is just an attack on free speech in politics.
Yeah.
And free speech in politics was the whole reason for the First Amendment. And yet liberals are attacking it. But then they say the First Amendment does protect pornography, which our founders did not have in mind. So you see the systematic inversion of the meaning of the Constitution and the fundamental liberties guaranteed us by Americans. The left consistently and cynically distorts our fundamental laws to take our fundamental rights.
John, a case quite similar to what you're talking about took place a couple of weeks ago when a Washington, D.C. city councilman came out and made the blatant statement that the Jews are causing climate change. And he denigrated and damned the Jews because of the bad weather. If anyone like you or I or a conservative would have said something like that, they would have tied us to a raft and floated us out in the ocean.
Now, you see, this is an example of why free speech is important. I don't want to put that guy in prison for saying that idiotic thing. I want to put it on Twitter. I want to laugh at him. I want to discredit him. That's how free speech works. This Nazi who managed to steal the nomination for Congress for the Republican Party in Illinois because no one else ran against him.
You're right.
He's lesser a threat because we know his real views. He's free to spout his crazy, hateful rhetoric, and it's good that he is, in part because now we know his real personality, his real character. If we had restrictions on free speech, he'd be winking and nodding and putting it between the lines, and people might be fooled. I want the David Dukes of this world, the Richard Spencers, to out themselves. I want to know exactly what they think, so that voters and citizens can reject hateful rhetoric having been fully informed of it. I don't want the government to make martyrs out of these people by locking them up for what they say because it might hurt somebody's feelings. Because guess what? The Christian Bible hurt some people's feelings. And there have been people arrested in Britain for simply reading aloud passages from the Old Testament that homosexuals found offensive. People were taken by the police and thrown in jail.
Oh, my goodness. John, I read your article, like I said, and I've highlighted everything. And I want you to discuss for a moment or two, if you would, please, what's going on over in Sweden. And this is so easily going to be adapted here. They've tried it already, and I'm sure that it's on the records, that Sweden is kneecapping, to use your phrase, its police by forbidding physical descriptions of criminal suspects. John, simple question. How in the heck are you going to catch somebody that purport a crime when you don't know what they look like?
That's right. But you know why they're doing it? Because virtually all the violent crime in Sweden is from Muslim immigrants. So over and over again, you hear on the air, a Middle Eastern man, age 33, Middle Eastern man, age 32. It was over and over and over again, and what it was doing was waking the public up to the fact that they had imported a rape epidemic from the Middle East into peaceful, quiet, tolerant, feminist Sweden. So the solution that the socialist government came up with there was not to deport the rapists, but to forbid the media and the police from reporting the fact that they're Muslims. Isn't that a great solution?
Wow. So where are we now, John? You keep up on this thing, this issue. You write about it. You're more knowledgeable than most of all these people that come out with stories like this. You're ahead of the plan. Where are we? I mean, I'm very concerned that conservative radio, with my stances on various issues, whether it's immigration, whether it's my anti-LGBT issues, whatever it might be, sooner or later I'm going to lose.
Oh, yeah. Well, I mean, the liberals already tried to use the FCC's old fairness doctrine to shut down the Rush Limbaugh program back in the 90s. I mean, the left clearly doesn't believe in free speech. It clearly doesn't. They think that if you speak against their views and you cause them emotional distress, that amounts to assault, and you should be punished by the government for it. But they can dress up in drag, like bearded men can dress up as nuns and do blasphemous skits on the steps of cathedrals on Sunday morning, and that's fine. They have completely abandoned any attachment to principle. And the only principle they recognize is if you are part of a so-called victim group, virtually anything you do is okay. And if you're part of a so-called oppressor group, let's say you happen to be a white male, you could be an unemployed coal miner, but you're a white male, you partake of historic privilege, you're not going to be protected. You don't have rights.
What's the rebuttal on this, John? Is it because our American society basically has become so naive and dumbed down and also so reserved that they don't want to do anything or cause any problem? What can we do to fight back, or is it too late?
It's not too late, but I would say the thing to stick to most firmly right now is our Second Amendment rights. Because without the Second Amendment, you have no First Amendment. So what we have to do first and foremost is protect our gun rights, because there's a reason that our free speech is still relatively free here. Our churches are still relatively free, that we can homeschool our kids, that the government is not micromanaging our lives the way it does in Western Europe. And that reason is an armed citizenry that would not put up with that crap. The government is still afraid of its citizenry here in America in a way it's not over in Europe.
I have not had
First, defend the Second Amendment, then defend the First.
I have not had a chance to ask you this prior to going on the air, but I would love to give a short dissertation as to your thoughts about what happened last week with the supposed anti-gun marches, with punk kids getting up to the microphone and very well orchestrated anti-GOP, anti-NRA, anti-gun ownership. What were your thoughts?
Well, it's interesting that there were pro-gun students who survived the shooting, who wanted to speak at the rally and were prevented from doing so. They were victims. They saw their friends gunned down. Their lives were threatened. But because they didn't follow George Soros' agenda, and he was paying for the whole thing, along with George Clooney and Oprah Winfrey, they didn't get to speak. So it was not about highlighting victims of the shooting. It was about using them as sock puppets to promote a prefabricated agenda to grab our guns so that they can then take the rest of our freedom.
The issue with the kind of speech that the kids were giving and the socialistic attitudes and gestures brought back a lot to people like myself of what it must have been like with Hitler's Germany and recruiting the kids and turning them against the parents and families. This is a scary situation right now that I think is only going to get worse.
Yeah, people need to read about the Cultural Revolution in China, where the most radical members of the Communist Party used the youth as a weapon against their internal enemies. And you had students denouncing their teachers, old people, old professors being humiliated, mocked, beaten, even killed. The idea that kids in high school are somehow an oracle of truth and that we can trust them because they haven't been corrupted. That's a totalitarian fantasy that you saw in the French Revolution, you saw it in the Nazis, you saw it among the communists, you saw it in the Cultural Revolution, and of course you saw it in the 1960s. And every time it's catastrophic. Young people are not innocent. They still have original sin. They're just inexperienced. They're more likely to fall for abstract utopian schemes because they don't think of all the ways in which it could go wrong. That's why so many young people like socialism, because it sounds nice on the surface, and they don't think through the consequences, just the way they don't think through the consequences when they drink and drive, or when they have unprotected intercourse with people they barely know. That's the problem with being young. You don't think through the consequences. You think you're immortal. You think nothing can go wrong. That's precisely why we don't let 12-year-olds vote. But we shouldn't let 16-year-olds make national policy or repeal articles of the Bill of Rights.
With the Michael Bloombergs and, like you mentioned a moment ago, the George Clooney's, the Oprahs, and then the biggest joke of the anti-gun marches was the money that was put up by the Planned Parenthood organization, and they were charged $500,000 a pop to be a sponsor, and that's our tax money that the government has given Planned Parenthood in the first place. You talk about ambiguous and...
Thank you, congressional Republicans.
Yep.
We are still funding Planned Parenthood. That's like, imagine the Democrats had both houses of Congress and the president, and they were still funding the Ku Klux Klan. That's how outrageous this is.
You know, John, when you look ahead at where we are right now, and the ultimate goal, I think, is confiscation, a door-to-door knock on the door saying, Mr. Gun Owner, you better turn them over now. In your opinion, as a writer, how far are we from that if we don't do something today?
Well, I mean, we obviously have to do something today. If that happens, it would be a tragedy because it would result in the deaths of a lot of law enforcement people, and I don't want to see anything happen to them. They'll just be doing their job. But there's no way Americans are giving up their guns. We are not going down without a fight. We're not going to end up like England, where one terrorist with a gun can terrorize 300 people because no one can defend himself, and even the cops just have nightsticks. That's not going to happen here. I don't want to see it come to that. I want to see us protect our rights legally and politically. And to do that, we have to stand up against the hysteria and the lies that are being peddled by the gun grabbers.
And then also, prior to the Second Amendment, you have the First, with the right of free speech, and I totally condone everything you wrote in that article, that it's time to have free speech and a lot of it.
Thank you. Have a great day, sir.
John Zemerick, thank you very much for being on the program. This article is out.
Check it out.
Thank you, sir. TheStream.org, like he said, and it's called Hate Speech is a Myth Used to Steal Basic Freedoms. Excuse me, ladies and gentlemen. This is one of the best articles I have ever read. I urge you to get it, and if you have trouble finding it, call me, let me know, I'll try to provide it for you. Excellent article. Oh, weather forecast. Yes, we had better. And the weather is brought to you by Scarro's Meats, 331 North Road, Jerome. Hello, Don Scarrow. And the number to call, 324-7657, or you can go to their website, scarrowsmeats.com. Delicious meats. Oh, my goodness. Marinated prime rib, smoked hams, buckboard bacon, breakfast sausages, bratwurst. Have I got you drooling yet? I am. All of this and so much more at Scarro's Meats in Jerome. Absolutely delicious. I urge you to call and stop over, 324-7657. I'm going to tell you more about it in just a minute, but right now, here's Scotty with the weather.
Warming up and windy with your Zip at the Ranch weather forecast. Scotty Cameron sitting in for Gina Jameson. That's right. Going to be breezy and warming up a little bit. Mostly sunny today. Expecting a high of 52. Partly cloudy tonight with a low of 37. For tomorrow, still going to be seeing wind and sun. Highs around 54. Partly cloudy for Wednesday night. A low of 34. Now for Thursday, mostly sunny. A high of 55. The warming trend continues with clouds Thursday night. A low of 35. Then for Friday, Could see highs near 60 with mostly sunny skies. That's your Zeb at the Ranch weather forecast. I'm Scotty Cameron.
Thank you, Scotty. Good job. He's filling in for Gina this week and doing a great job. Scarrow's Meats, Don Scarrow and his whole operation at 331 North Road, Jerome. Absolutely, they have the excellent meats. Please call them or stop over, and remember this, Scarrow's Meats, changing the way we eat, one delicious bite at a time. It's good. Oh, I urge you to, excuse me again, get that article in the stream.org written by John Zamirak. It's John, Z-M-I-R-I-A-K. Okay, John Zamirak. Excellent article, and it goes in there and really categorizes each and every problem with the way the left is trying to stymie our free speech, what's happening over in Europe, soon to possibly happen here. And I urge you to read that article, and I'm going to keep this, and we're going to have more with John over this article. I want to remind you, too, your Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers, all 7 locations. My, they're having a big spring tire sale. They're going to treat you right with the prices lowered on the big spring tire sales so you can head out on the highways and byways for this spring and summer. Oh, my goodness. They've got a lot of tires with all the different tread designs on sale for your cars, your pickups, and your SUVs. You stop in and check it out today at any one of the 7 locations. And don't forget, too, a little trouble with the brakes? Well, they've got the best in brake work and brake technicians for you at every location, along with the best of front-end alignment, shocks and struts and batteries. I mean, you stop in and just tell them what the problem is. They take care of it. Lane and Rupert, Dave on Blue Lakes and Twin, Mike and Buell, Mike and Jerome, the Twist family in Paul, Daniel on Pole Line in Twin Falls, and my buddy Randy on Overland in Burley. They are the best. That's not brag, that's a fact. Your Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers. What have we got cooking for tomorrow? My old buddy Dave Bego's going to be on at 9:06, and then we got Scott Paley coming on at 9:30 from back in D.C., and then, excuse me, a gentleman that I really am looking forward to having on the air, because when it comes to ag issues, and especially at this time of the year, planting time and getting ready to get out with the cattle and everything else, my friend is going to be here tomorrow by the name of Dave Roper, and I don't think there is anyone that I know of that knows more about what's going on in agriculture, and also to talk about some of the evil forces against our agricultural programs. He's going to be here at 10 o'clock tomorrow, and we're going to have him for the duration of the hour and take a lot of your phone calls and everything. He's an outstanding man and very well educated on ag issues, so that's going to be tomorrow morning at 10:06. But we're going to put everything back in the box for today, and we're going to say we'll saddle the horse tomorrow morning again at 8:06 and ride for 3 hours right here on Zeb at the Ranch, streaming live on zebbell.com all across the world. Excuse me for the frog in my throat, and also locally right here on K-Bar 1230 AM. Zeb at the Ranch tomorrow morning at 8:06, and remember, the way things were are the way things ought to be.